What's up, everybody? This is Karak with ACG, and I'm here with Abzy, Silver, and Johnny for the Best Gaming Podcast number 462. 462. I got the number right. Got the people all here. It's going to be the first time we're all here for a while, hasn't it?
Ever. No.
No.
No, I think 2 weeks ago we were all here as well.
Hey, Silver, can you move your mic a little bit away from your face, just a tiny bit? You're coming in. You're coming in a little hot.
Yep.
Which that's not actually a bad thing, because sometimes you come in really quiet. But thank you to everybody who's joining us for these podcasts. We appreciate it. It's Friday. We're going to sit back, chill out, talk about games, talk about Fallout and its effect, TV shows' effect on Fallout sales, and games and movies and TV, and how they all affect one another, including things like novels, Game of Thrones, TV shows. How Telltale actually made a game about Game of Thrones, even though
that stings me every time you say that name, man. Every time I hear that title, it hurts me inside.
Yeah, that game was not great. Thank you for the super chats. Thanks for joining up as members. We've got a bunch to cover, so we're actually just going to jump in. Since I haven't talked to Silver for it's been 2 weeks, I think. We're going to start with him to see what games he's been playing. So go for it, sir. What games have you been delighting in?
Helldivers 2, quite a bit. Also, quite a lot of Warhammer 3, because the Thrones of Decay expansion is coming out April 30th. Mm-hmm. So sort of doing that as a preview, or as a lead up to going back into it. Still some Hitman 3 off and on, and that's pretty much been also Ereban, Shadow Legacy or
Shadow Legacy.
The full name. Yeah. Playing that as well.
I saw some people in our chat who beat it already. Actually, really liked it. You know, as a B level game.
Yeah, it's thankfully pretty short.
Yeah. It seems like people have enjoyed it. What about you, Johnny? What are you playing?
So I've been playing Final Fantasy VII. I'm getting towards the end of that. We already talked about Dragon's Dogma 2 last week. I completed that. And then this week I played an indie game that really was surprisingly good. It's called BlazBlue Entropy Effect. A bit of a mouthful, so I'll just paste it in chat. I wanted to highlight it today, because it's not often that I jump into one of these and I'm really impressed, not just on the artistic, because oftentimes it will be like, oh, the art looks great,
right?
But the gameplay is not fully there, or the other way around. And this one, I think it's arcadey. It's an arcadey roguelite, but you have like 8 playable characters, something like that. I don't know the number exactly, but a bunch of them, each of them with their different identity and stuff like that. And the art looks amazing as well. It's not pixel art. It's kind of like more detailed. Yeah, it's a bit like cyberpunkish kind of with the lights.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And they do amazing use of the colors. So in between the stages, you have things like get an upgrade, or that type of roguelite thing where in between stages you can have a chance of upgrading your character. And some of them have like an incredible use of color, like the whole screen, how it looks. It's kind of hard to explain. They do a really good job with the aesthetics. It's all kind of like Japanese voices, so they do the arcadey, when they attack, they have the hair like,
oh right, yeah,
like from arcade days sort of. So it kind of gives me that vibe as well. And it's a roguelite with a really customizable difficulty, by the way. You have sliders for things like enemy damage, enemy HP, different elements like that. So you can really tune it to be enjoyable, if you want something a bit more laid back or more challenging. Really, really cool. So big recommendation. It's I want to double check the price on Steam before I call it out, but I think it was around the $20 mark. Let me double check for you. But yeah, it's not often that I'm like, hey, stop what you're doing and check it out. But this one, if you like this type of game, is highly, highly worth it. It's right now £16, probably $20 Yeah.
It's a great game. I've been thinking before I found the game, I was thinking a lot about how a 2D Devil May Cry type game would look like, and it kind of does that. It has a lot of interesting combos that you can get mid-run, a lot of different characters that you can play out, completely different play styles, and you can mix and match. So like if you play a lot with a certain character, there's these things I think called legacy skills or whatever, where you can port skills from other characters to other characters and kind of make a cool, neat build. So yeah, it's a really good game.
Anything else, Johnny?
That's it.
All right. So, Abzy, you've been playing that as well, or have you just played it before?
No, I played it like a while ago.
Okay.
Right now, because of the Fallout TV show, obviously, I decided to download Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas and combine them with a mod called The Tale of Two Wastelands. And then I downloaded a Wabbajack called Capital Punishment, which has a lot of survival stuff and hardcore elements, make it feel like Tarkov because I'm obsessed. Like a lot of medical stuff, disease, hot and cold, all that stuff, as well as a little bit better shooting and some cool balance changes and different types of ammo and no fast travel, all the neat stuff. And it's going pretty well. I just love being in that world. Going back to that Super Duper Mart, just it gives me memories listening to Three Dog on the radio, and I just love being in that atmosphere, and it's just so nostalgic for me. So I've been enjoying that a lot and playing some Tarkov.
That's it. Those two, for the most part.
Yeah, pretty much. Horizon is still going. I'm still doing my Horizon playthrough, the Forbidden West.
I did No Rest for the Wicked for about 7, not 7. I did about 2 and then re-got it. Did another 2. I refunded it. It's a rough game, man. It is a weird price for No Rest for the Wicked. It's a high price, and I definitely am accustomed to early access stuff. I usually don't cover them because, their early access are missing stuff. This has issues pretty much top to bottom. Like the reason why those reviews are mixed. I think what I mean by top is cost. It's a high cost for early access title. It just is, no matter which way you slice it. And then jumping into it and playing it, there's something there for sure. I liked the art style more than I thought I would because I wasn't really caught up in the art style. But once on the trailers, once I played it, I was like, oh, you know what? This sort of works for me. It didn't grab me as much as I was sort of hoping, but it's like Ori, but that's sort of ridiculous. I mean, it's a completely different style thing, but it's been enjoyable to play. And then playing some games for reviews that are coming next week. I'm doing a preview on Capes, which is a superhero XCOM game, and I think that preview is live tomorrow or something like that. I have to check the embargo for that. And then what else have I been playing? I messed around with not Kingdom Come, but Horizon Forbidden West as well. They did some patches and some adjustments there. The performance on the game is ridiculous.
Yeah, sometimes I feel like my PC should be burning right now. Like, why is this running at such a high frame rate?
Yeah, it's unbelievable. And then last night, for whatever reason, somebody brought up Outer Worlds, and I think like 7 of us are playing through that sort of in a weird co-op at the same time in the Discord. Yeah, we were having a blast. And there was sporadic fallouts popping up, as well as a ton of the show for some reason, the baseball game. But it's baseball, so I'm not going to want to play it, but watching it is pretty fun. Watching it, and like Solar gets into baseball. I guess, I don't know if he's even into baseball, but he certainly is into that game. So he's yelling and screaming and having a good time in the Discord chat. So that was fun to watch somebody because, I don't like it as a sport as a whole. I don't want to sit there and watch that kind of stuff, but a gamer playing it for whatever reason is, it was highly interesting. What's up, Frankie Donuts? Hello to everybody in chat. Those are the games we've been playing, looking at what some people are playing. JD says he's playing KOTOR 2 and MX Bikes. MX Bikes. I've never heard of that one. Big Mac, actually. JK says he's playing Farming Simulator 22. Let's see. Rage 2 and Biomutant. That's an odd mix. Rage 2 and Biomutant. Yeah. Man, those are 2 games I never expected to hear people playing.
Never mixed those. Wow.
That's awesome, man. After KOTOR 2, thinking of trying New Vegas, played it a ton, but never finished it. That's what I'm hearing a lot for the Fallout games. We're going to talk about them in a second. but I think last night in our Discord chat, there was about 20 people at one point, and I think nobody had finished any of those games. They just played and ran around for 90 hours.
But like Skyrim, a lot of people just you start the game
Horizon Zero Dawn, Horizon Forbidden West. The number of people who have spent 80, 90, Dragon's Dogma. There's still people who are 80, 90 hours in, not winning.
I found Horizon did a good job with like keeping you interested in the story, even though the Forbidden West, I didn't like the ending as much. It was still like all the way through, kind of had a really nice way of keeping you interested. Whereas Skyrim and Fallout 4, I was a bit more just
More
in
sandbox.
it for the world building. Yeah, sandbox.
I think that it's not even a discussion about the story for these guys. It's that there is no there is no need to finish them. And it's probably because the Discord that, people, they come in and they know we're not big, it's not, you don't have to worry about kicking a guy off a cliff 9 times to get an achievement. For the most part, they're not tracking those. They're not tracking endings. They're just playing the games to play the game. So I think the people who came in weren't necessarily having any issues with the story. They just, that's not them. I mean, and I'm finding more and more gamers are like that. It might be maybe because they want to come back to it later. There was a couple people I heard who were all, I want to hold off on the, I don't want to do the story because I want to come back later like a carrot at the end of a stick so that they can play the game for 40 or 50 hours and then they know the finish hasn't been done. And at some point in the future, they can go back to it, which is sort of cool. It's almost like out-gaming the entire meta that's going on in gaming right now. Because the harder people push towards achievements and trophies and all that stuff, the more those people who don't like them are going to rebel. The harder we push story being good in a game, the more there's a group of people who are like, yeah, but what about the other stuff? It's cool. There was no negativity around it. It was just all about people enjoying the games and sort of wanting something open to come back to later on, which I thought was a cool discussion. Hero on Business, $10 super chat, just breezing through to say hello to Johnny Silver and you other fellas. Thanks for the podcast as usual. I got another fellas. I mean, I run the podcast. I got another fella. You and I we do too. We got that shows who's popular.
Fellas.
I do, dude. I absolutely want to
the hell
start a
is your
Wednesday
podcast.
bitches.
I want to start a
Wednesday
podcast where Silver pretends to be me. He's got the beanie.
The other guys.
And he's like, "Oh, sup, everybody? This is Silver with the ACG podcast."
It's called The Others, from Lost.
Yeah, that would be awesome. Yeah, and it's just it or pretend we don't exist, like split, like you said, Lost, where they just show up on the podcast. And they do their thing, and then we have another one. No talking about another person, just pretending they're not there. They're not real. Second class
2, 4,
citizens,
6,
Dev
8,
guy
15,
says.
16.
Yeah, we'll start matching those. Septic Sauce says, I want my kids back. You're never getting them back. You're never getting them back. Sailor Moon says, I love Fallout 3 in New Vegas, but I'm in the minority that I prefer Fallout 4. Listen, I don't know if that's true. I do not have any metrics to count, and I don't think anybody in this universe is, but boy, do we have a lot of Fallout 4 fans. So I don't know.
Yeah,
I think it's a weird conversation to even worry about.
They all have advantages. And
I think the people who love New Vegas are very vocal about it.
Yeah.
Sure.
Fallout, like the overall Fallout fans, like
that's why
subreddit,
Silver's here.
The overall Fallout fans in the subreddit love 76 and 4, but the Fallout New Vegas fans hate 4 and 76. And 3 even. They hate every Fallout game except New Vegas.
Hey, I lived through that transition, man. And I fully admit when they were telling me they were going first person and third person, I was like,
I love all of them. Is that wrong?
No, I like all of them too now. But I was. I mean, again, it's good to be
like
wrong.
You had to pick a side.
Yeah, you did.
Like Vegas, or
you did, and we do that. I mean, I do that with D&D. I'm sure Silver's done it with the board games. You'll hear people who will spend hours discussing Twilight Imperium version 2 versus 3, and they'll be like, "Well, I'm not going to play 3," and it happens in everything in life. Even a director's cut, unless it's Snyder. We all hate Rebel. We all have Rebel movie. Yeah, Warhammer 40K, dude. Talk about nerds. We can get nerdy about that stuff. Let's see. Played all the Fallouts, but never beat a single one, Lawn Man says. Lawn Man. That's a perfect username for that. Just feet up, not caring about the ending for any of those games, relaxing in his lawn, playing Fallout. Nothing wrong with that, man. You don't, I mean, if you're getting money out of it, who gives a shit, man? You're getting your game on.
I saw quite a few people like shaming on Twitter, like people who don't finish games just randomly this week. And
Really?
it kind of like triggers me because there's nothing about finishing a game that makes it quantifiably like a better experience for you.
Absolutely true.
No, it
Yeah.
just depends on the person. Like for me, for example, I played Fallout 4 many, many hours, but I don't even remember the ending if you press me on it right now. Like in terms of the story, what
That's
I remember
me in Skyrim, Johnny.
and always will is like the little moments and the
Yep.
the meta stuff. Same with Skyrim.
Yeah.
I could not tell you for $1 million. Like,
Who's the
Nah.
fuck is Alduin? What's
yeah.
Yeah. No, it's cool. I'm glad that everybody and those people that they chase the ending. That's also fine. It's just one of those things
Yeah.
where you don't have to be sitting there and yelling at somebody else just because they do something different than you. I think that this conversation always comes up, and it's come up now because of the Fallout TV show, and we can jump into that.
Yeah.
But the Fallout TV show was so big, and I'm going to be honest, man. This is exactly what happened with a couple other TV shows, including The Last of Us. I thought The Last of Us was good. Good. That's it. Just good as a show. And saying it was good was absolutely just hated on. People, it is either, it is the greatest thing ever, or how dare they make it?
Yeah,
So-
I mean, every good show these days gets proclaimed as this is best show ever. Like True Detective back in the day got, this is the greatest thing that's ever been on television. Oh,
Right.
like
I'm one of those
Yeah.
people. I hyper or what do you call it? Exaggerate it a lot. Like playing a game, I'm like, oh, this is the best thing in the world. And if
And then
someone
it's
says
the next
it's
best
okay,
thing. And then it's the
I'm
next
like,
best thing.
motherfucker, you said it's okay. You said meh. No, I'm just
But
kidding.
what I was
no,
going to
love-
say was with
Yeah.
Fallout, it's cool to see the success because it did cause it to shoot up in sales. All shows will, even terrible shows have got there's a connection there of just people talking about it.
Mhm, for sure.
But shot up to, I guess, number one in Europe. I don't know what that really means for total sales because I don't know what else is out. And we're going to talk about how numbers don't matter if you don't know, like, sort of what line you're trying to enter, or how, if you're number one and there's only two people in the race and both of them aren't racing, really doesn't matter. You just finished. Great. Good for you.
Participation trophy.
Yeah, so I don't know what the other sales are, but I'm not going to take any success away from them. They did it. It's done incredible. The critic scores are insanely, unbelievably high. And then you see people talking about Fallout and playing it, which is awesome too. But people who never played it and then people returning. Funnily enough,
I've also seen a lot of, I don't know if it's translated into actual sales, but I've seen a lot of people I know go to play Total War Shogun 2. Because of
just
the
'cause
Shogun
it's
television show.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah,
that makes
true,
sense. I
true,
hadn't even
true,
thought
true.
about that. That makes sense. Because that's the thing. It's just the theme. I will jump from a post-apocalyptic show to post-apocalyptic show.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
watched Fallout, finished it, and immediately went to Jericho just because it's after some nukes drop. And I'm like, all right. So I think most people are like that. It's just, of course, we're a gaming podcast, so
Yeah.
it gets more focused.
And it can even be more generic because I remember when I watched Blade Runner, the movie, I wanted to play something cyberpunkish. And I don't know if at the time it was cyberpunk or if it was prior to that. But either way, I remember playing a game that was unrelated, but just you wanted the vibe.
Or
Yeah.
following
I got
actors.
Yep. I
That
got
too, yeah.
Rise of the Ronin because of Shogun and then instantly regretted it. I was like, nope, that's not
Yeah,
it.
that can't happen.
Unfortunately, Sony does not do refunds. Yeah.
We have a 25 Ron super chat. This is from Dev Guy, just breezing through to say hello to KARAK-ACG and you other fellas. Thanks for the podcast as usual. Thank you, Dev,
This is why I love
for
that.
writing
This is why I love that.
riding the boat there, the emotional boat, because I was getting ready to weep later on. But no, it's awesome because I'm not saying people I know who are family members who haven't played games are going to jump into Fallout. But it is cool to be when somebody like DMs me and my mom and dad.
It opens doors, right?
Yeah, my mom and dad emailed me and they're like, "Hey, have you seen that Fallout show? It's pretty good." And I was all, "It is pretty good. Do you know that that's the game that you guys would not let me play at your place because of the main menu music continually happening?" And she was like, "That's the game? I knew I recognized the music." I was like, "That's the one." She was like, "Oh,
Same
that's
with
why I
my
didn't."
dad. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the music is so. I mean, dude, it's like bang.
Is somber? Was a bit somber.
Well, it's a
I
bit somber,
don't
but it's
want
still
to
the
set the
1950s, 60s that, the words are somber, but the music I don't think is too somber. I think
are
the
we
music
talking
still
about
is
Fallout 4 or
Fallout.
which one?
Yeah,
Just Fallout in general, yeah.
Fallout in
Like
general has
the,
always had that
the
particular
music, the
year,
okay.
atmosphere.
that genre
Yeah.
of music for that year. But it's been
Nuclear.
man, it's been awesome. Just when you look at how it's all put together and how you get to see that success, I like the idea of some random person, not talking about fucking Rebel Moon, but talking about Fallout. It's nice to see a TV show do good, man.
Yeah.
And based on games, because, you know, that crossover doesn't always happen. And we've had
Yeah.
two now that have done, you
It's
know.
not
My favorite.
Go for it. Sorry.
My favorite type of adaptation is when they take a world and just tell a new story in it rather than retell another story, and like have different actors than the ones in the games and stuff, which is sometimes jarring. So I really like how it was handled here. Sorry, Johnny, go ahead.
No, nothing. No, I would agree with that, man. I love when they do that. They have so much more freedom. And before the fan police comes,
Yeah.
comes
Well, the
running.
fan police still came, though. Did you
They
see
still
that?
came.
Oh,
But
dude.
Todd addressed it.
I know Todd addressed it. Todd
issues
addressed it
and
right away and shut it down. But it was still like people are still like, but I
Technically.
I want to argue with the director of the game, and you're all, man. But whatever, you know, it is what it is. We
Yeah.
talked about this earlier. We were worried about how they do it. If they do it with the main character, if they do it with side characters, they did it with side characters, working really well. Working really well. Like the idea of just saying, hey, it's not, you know, instead of being the character from one of those games or something
Yeah.
weird like that, they're just
Yeah.
like, no, it's another Vault
It
Dweller.
did make me want a Fallout game where you can start as like a ghoul or a Brotherhood of Steel guy or like a Vault Dweller, you know, like different starting, kind of like Cyberpunk or Dragon Age. Yeah.
My question to you guys, no spoilers, but do you feel, ignoring that we all like Goggins, or most of us like Goggins as an actor, I don't know if I've queried everybody about it. Do you guys think the ghoul, ignoring the cool part, I'm talking about the representation of the ghoul in Fallout, is that done fairly accurately?
So in my opinion, ghouls looked way more gruesome the more games you go backwards. So in Fallout 1,
right.
they looked the most gruesome,
Yeah.
then Fallout 2, then Fallout 3. However, I did notice, which I found weird, but it's okay because it's Walton Goggins, right? Is that the voice, usually, you know, when you meet ghouls in Fallout games, they talk like this.
Yeah.
And he didn't have that, but, you know, it's okay.
Right.
I think it was a bit cleaner. You know, he's a good looking ghoul.
Yeah,
He was like, he's got a goal,
that
bro.
is true. He's Brad Pitt and Troy ghoul version. You know, he definitely he or he looks like, you know, other than some stuff, but he looks like he's got his shit together. Maybe
and
has a
way
couple
more gruesome
places.
ghouls in the show as well. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
true.
and-
That's true.
I think what's cool is, for me at least, it kind of made sense that he was in pretty decent shape for a ghoul because, you know, he was able to procure resources. He was very crafty, right? He was very good with getting money and everything. So they kind of explain it like that. And like we say, sometimes just a little explanation sometimes can go a long way to solidify
Defending your
for you.
disbelief, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
And for me it worked because it was enjoyable to hear his voice. I like the actor a lot, so I just needed a tiny little excuse, and that worked.
Yeah. And that's cool too,
He's like
because
Voldemort. Sorry.
Yeah,
one of the cool things about it, and if you played the Fallout games, you do see ghouls in various states anyway. So to me, it's like if you have a side character that has nothing to do with the games, that's your main character now, you might as well you can have ghouls doing all sorts of shit, and it could be weird origin stories that, you know, nobody else has. And we're seeing that, you know, I don't want to spoil anything, but you do see some origin stories for different characters, and it's like, oh, that's pretty wicked to see. Because sometimes, well, I'll say this. No, I won't even say that. You're seeing two types of origin stories, physical and mental or emotional. And I do think that's pretty sweet in these shows. They're doing a very good job with that. Even with the idea of why people are the way they are. And you see that in the first couple episodes. There's some choices people make, and you're like, damn, son, that's a raw choice. That person made a choice that's like, I don't know if I'd do it. And then you see the future, and you're like, yeah, probably checks out. That's probably exactly what you need to do.
I
It's
get it.
great.
Yeah.
By the time, well, I can't delve into it because of spoiler reasons, but they do a really, really good job at depicting that gray area. Everyone's in the gray area.
Yeah.
Where in the beginning you think, okay, you know what's good, what's bad, but then by the end of it, you're like, well, I don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's slippery slope.
Silver, have you watched any of it or all of
I
it?
have
or
not.
most?
I do not have
Okay.
Amazon Prime at the moment.
Okay, gotcha. I think you will like it. because
I'm pretty sure I probably will.
Okay, it's not just an action. It like goes into character motivations and stuff.
Right.
And what I've found intriguing about this, and this is straight up as a lover of so many sci-fi post-apocalyptic shows, is when somebody makes a choice that makes no sense. They either need to explain it pretty quickly so you understand there's a twist going on. That person's made a choice, they've snapped, or they've decided to go the other way, or they have a long series and they met it out and you understand at the end. This one is pretty good at people making choices where I don't there might be one or two where I'm like, why didn't he just, or why didn't she, or why didn't they do this? But overall, I've been pretty happy. The only thing that's weird to me, and I'm not even going to spoil anything, I'm just going to say there's a scene with an artificial thing being put on somebody that I found to be much higher tech than I expected. And that's pretty much all I'll say. The tech used felt like it was 20 levels higher, and it could have just been the way it looked and how it was done, but it was actually shockingly weird. Where I was sitting there and I saw something happen and they did something to somebody and they used a bit of tech that I'm still slightly wondering if that's going to lead to a discussion about some stuff. How did that tech get there? Like what? Like that seems oddly placed, but it could also just be a callback to there's other groups and maybe it's from them or something like that. I also like the Brotherhood of Steel stuff. That's all I'll say about that. I thought that stuff was cool. I will say some characters are just giant dickheads in this show. Even the main character. I do not at all like one of them at all.
I know which one. Yeah.
I'm sorry. No. I don't even know if they can come back. I'm like, no, that person is terrible.
I love though, like there's a lot of moments in the game or in the show, that make you feel like you're doing a quest in the game. There's one particular town that looks a lot like Megaton, which is really, really cool.
Yep.
And there's like this feeling you get, remember in the Fallout games where you explore a new vault or whatever, and each vault has its own like thing going on.
Yeah.
Like
Don't say much more.
No, I won't.
I know what you mean. I know what you mean.
But it's just like,
yes,
it feels like quests, and even in the beginning when she's explaining like herself, it feels like that was character creator. You took the goat,
Do you know the other thing that was great about that too was Lawn Man, $5 super chat. Great podcast as always, and you guys make my week so much better. Thank you very much. Another one from Javier, $2 super chat. He says, Walter Goggins Ghoul would be out there hustling. Yeah, dude, he does an amazing job as a ghoul. What I wanted to say, though, is they fit quests in. There's some times that there's slow motion, and people have done this long discussion. Oh, it's to show VATs, whatever. There's other times where there's slow motion that's not done. I don't care. It works quite well. But what I did like, man, was the investigation stuff that you're talking about. And they show the terminals, and they're hacking the terminals in a way that, like, dude, you as a gamer are going, dude, that's right. That's pretty close to what we did.
Try this word.
Yeah, that was all. And then there's characters that I don't know where they're going, but there's side characters and relatives of characters that I'm like, dude, this character's wicked. I have no clue. There's an amazing saying one of the characters said, which has to do with jobs and how much they care about life anymore. And, how do you demote somebody who just doesn't care about what they're doing? And you're like, oh, right. What do we do? Yeah, there's some great stuff,
also,
man. There's some...
Dude, the original 9mm pistol from Fallout 1 and 2. Oh, man,
they did a good job with all that. Yeah. It looks like from reading in here, everybody knows what I'm talking about who's watched the show. Please don't spoil it about that piece of tech. So I guess that is something that'll be will be very cool. Yeah, they have good sounds. The only thing, that's a stupid complaint. Yeah, it's good. I mean, overall, I think they're doing okay. No, I do have to say it. The armor looks way better than their trailer did. Yeah. When in that trailer, that armor comes down into a city, and you're all, ugh, that looks, man, it was cleaned up post whatever, and I was all, oh, that looks good. And
they patched it up.
They patched it up. Yeah,
Day one patch.
Yeah, it was early access trailer, and they're like, God, man, we've got some user feedback, and they have a problem with the special effect, but I liked overall the armor stuff. I thought the armor stuff was done pretty well for huge armor that's not huge like a mech where you're inside with, where your arms aren't in it. They did a good job where it's power armor, but the person looks like they could be in it, because that's always weird to me when you see a game.
Like the Space Marine suit.
Like a Space Marine suit. Yeah, it's fairly close to that size. It's a obviously we all know that some of it is sort of cribbed from. I mean, how do you not crib from Warhammer if you know if it's a power?
And I mean, Warhammer cribs from other stuff. So yeah.
There you go. Yeah.
Also, since you love Far Harbor, Karak, we're excited about that monster that was straight from Far Harbor.
Yep. There's horror elements. Horror elements. That's the fourth time I've done that this week. There are horror elements in Fallout 4 that are fantastic because it keeps the sci-fi part, so it's easy for a person who doesn't like horror to still watch. And there's a couple. There's a fingers. I'll just say that if anybody knows what. There's a moment with fingers, and I'm like, oh my god, they showed that, and it's not damage done to a person. It's designs on some creatures, and I was like, dude, that is haunting.
Oh
man. That will never ever leave my mind again.
They did way better than the game ever could, in my opinion, is like showcasing some of the creatures and the horror, as you say, of like, even some of the basic ones that we see like in the first moments of Fallout 4.
Yeah.
When you see that in the show and they kind of like explain to you, you go like, whoa, okay, it's fucked. Like,
I love that moment when like a head blows up and you're like, he has the perk, he has that bloody mess perk.
Yeah. Also,
and by the way, another thing.
Go for it.
So just to wrap up that point, another thing it did better than I think the games is showcasing the terror of like the pre-war or the pre-nuke
that was a good
situation.
Intro. Dude, don't say much more, but that was fucking wicked. Go for it, Johnny. Continue. Sorry.
Because we know they show a bit like before.
Yeah,
and that was chilling. That's the
chilling as shit.
Yes,
dude. This sounds so dumb, but as somebody who's like family has horses and stuff like that, and so when I saw him riding the horse down the pavement to go to a place, and I was sitting there going, "Don't slip, don't let," because like you'll see it where a horse gets on pavement, and even with the right shoes, they'll slip or whatever. And there's a moment of terror when all that's happening, where you're like, "Oh my!" And then certain people involved, you're just like, "Dude, what's gonna happen?" I was actually pretty emotionally invested in that part.
Yeah.
I thought it was well done, man. Oh, and there's a scene. Candy in the second episode. Candy, you guys.
Yeah.
What was it? What was the flavor of candy? There was a weird.
Sugar bombs? Not sugar bombs.
No. I don't think it was those. But I'm talking about between two characters, a piece of candy is given. That scene. I don't want to say any more. I can say the ghoul. But do you remember when a piece of candy was given and he tastes it? You guys remember that?
Oh, yeah.
And
okay.
the introduction of the character and him pretending he doesn't know that character was, that's good writing. I can't say much more, but I don't even know if I've done enough to tell you guys what I'm talking about. There's writing in it that is way higher level for character introductions than I expected, and it's just a funny back and forth between two people, or like a goofy one. I was like, oh, dude, this rocks. Like they did very well.
Yeah, they treaded the line of comedy and serious moments, sad moments, and darkness just super well, I thought.
Was it really Lilac? Cool. Denise says Lilac. Was that what it was? But it was an awesome moment in the show. Let's see. Even the sounds of the Pip-Boy and the soundtrack, the audio on the show is nostalgic. Yeah, even though Lucitan, of course, can't enjoy a game or show. That dude hates the music to the point of like, he's raging. He's all, I hate this music. I'm all, dude, it's so iconic.
Best part of
it fits the franchise. By the way, and we all know this, but more music isn't really created. So even if there's 20 years later, you don't have a lot of bands roving around with ghouls playing the drums and fucking writing new songs and mastering them.
Oh, that would be cool, though. That's like some Mad Max shit right there.
Yeah. But I mean, so the idea of these songs regurgitated over and over, and the wording in the songs is so dire, man. Like Johnny was saying, it depends on if you listen to the words or you listen to the music. It can be cheery, and then you listen, and you're all,
which captures the essence of Fallout so well.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I found at times that it was a bit creepy. You know, when in horror movies they play this type of music,
yes,
and the dissonance between what you're hearing but what's happening is kind of like
it's exactly like in Fallout 3 when you go to Megaton and you talk to Moira for the first time, and she's like talking on this cheery voice, and she's like, I want you to get your hand cut off, but it's okay. You know, like that's exactly what it is. It's really
Ref,
cool.
you are right. It was lavender gum. Thank you. Lavender gum.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah, that was a phenomenal moment in the show. Like, I don't know, man. I'm also happy to see Bethesda, who's been hit a couple times, you know, having a little rough patches here and there. Way prior to Starfield, by the way, I'm talking about Skyrim Special Edition, all this stuff, Fallout. You know, it is sort of nice to see them get a win and it come out where it feels like I don't think I've heard one gamer, even if they have an issue with when did this thing happen? There's a disrespect that sometimes comes with game movies, you know, Far Cry, for instance, which was, I think that was Uwe Boll. That was a terrible movie. But that sort of comes with it. Or you get the Halo guy who's like, I've never played or watched a Halo. I'm going to direct a movie. Or even
Witcher. A lot of people liked Witcher, but there was a lot more like criticisms, I feel, of The Witcher, especially as the seasons go on.
Yeah.
There you go. There's a gamer with a
I don't think it was bad, but I do think that it lost its way in the set. They certainly could have figured out how to tell you what fucking time or where you were and what time of the year it was. That pacing was all over the place.
Dude.
But it's awesome. It got renewed for a second season, and they're making one, but no one trusts that because it's Amazon, Netflix, Hulu, Paramount, who always say they're doing a second season of something. And by the way, these companies have canceled their #1 seasons and not done a second. But I do think that Microsoft/Bethesda for sure will probably inject whatever they need to get that made because it's obviously made a massive increase in people playing, and those people are either subscribing or maybe they're just playing the game they owned or maybe they're jumping in new. So yeah, it's awesome, man. I love that part. Do you guys? I got a serious question. If I miss this, don't tell me. But do you guys think Todd Howard's going to make a cameo as a ghoul or something, and you won't know?
I would love it so much.
You know how there were different stormtrooper, there were different Harry and Prince Harry was a stormtrooper. No one ever knew.
Stanley does it, and
he should be a repairman, fix something and say it just works.
It just works.
Dude, that would be like the greatest moment in gaming. That would be the greatest moment in gaming, and especially if he's all gussied up so you can't tell who he is, and he's like, it got an accent or something. He's like, this is about 16 times as much work as I expected to do, but it just works. And you're like, oh, what just happened? Johnny, you were saying something, though. Sorry about that. Do you remember what you were saying? Or were we just waxing excited?
I kind of lost track. It's all good. Let's keep going.
So overall, man, it's awesome to see it. My big excitement I like the show, but my big excitement is for other shows. It's doing. I want to see. Yeah. You know, I know there's supposedly a Gears of War. I'm not talking about that. I would like to see more of these kind of shows. The Witcher.
Do you think that one has potential for
anime? Sure. Show? I think a movie's hard to do for Gears of War.
Anime, yeah, that could work, right?
Yeah.
You have a lot more.
Yeah. I want to see a Mass Effect show that follows an Elcor theater troupe.
There you go. Just go completely to the side where they just move around different planets and they're playing music and doing thespian shit. No, I think that's my exciting bit is the idea that maybe these guys will roll out something. But what's everybody else want from shows? Is there any game that you guys want to see a show or anime? Make sure you indicate what you want. Yeah, I think Gears of War would be fine as an anime because it's easier to do the special effects and the explosions in anime than it is like pay for all that. Gears of War would be crazy. Just the first 17 seconds of Gears of War would cost them.
Yeah, and there's something about the physical appearance of the people in it that is a bit over the top in the games.
And hard to do in real life.
Some of them have a bit crazy hair. Some of them, they're giant, right? They're wardrobe.
It would be people. Batista, The Rock.
Shaquille.
Shaquille could do. You mean for the Coltrane?
The football player. Coltrane, yeah.
You could. I think Shaquille's too old to even move around.
Dude, Exhibit would have done it in his prime, man. He loved games.
Oh, in his prime.
He was in every game. He was in every
prime.
game, dude.
But I think those jacked wrestlers, Batista has a look to him that is definitely Gears of War, and The Rock does. But I think The Rock is so big that as in big in the world, that it would probably actually pull away from it. But yeah, it's awesome, man. I'm excited to see it.
Disco Elysium world would be really cool in a TV show.
It would be.
I don't think so.
World. You don't think so? I think it would be hard to do.
Yeah, I think it's too literary.
Yeah,
Oh, it is too literary. Yeah. I guess so. But like a detective, like an investigative.
dude. Yeah, if they can do Altered Carbon season 2, they could do like Disco
Yeah,
Elysium
the
because that
setting
got really odd.
could work for sure.
Yeah, the setting could work as like a detective thing. Kel says, how about Black Flag? Get the guys out on sale, bootload and stuff. You definitely could. I mean, Black Sails itself was what, 5 seasons, Silver? Wasn't Black Sails the pirate one?
I think it was 4.
Was it 4? I'm sorry. Oh yeah, so 4 seasons, and there was a couple seasons in there. I really liked that show.
Yeah, the first 2 seasons of that show were really, really good. Unfortunately, for me, I mean, I know a lot of people really enjoyed the 3rd and 4th, but like the 4th in particular for me really took a nosedive.
Yeah, it did. Some people here are saying they still want Gears of War. I'd love a Subnautica TV show. Oh yeah, you could do like not SG1. What was the Roy Scheider? Not Schneider. That's a comedian. The guy from 2010 and Blue Thunder. He did the one about the underwater sea vessel, and he had the kid in it. It was Sequest. I think it was called Sequest, but it was like a futuristic submersible.
Or shows.
Wasn't Sequest the old show?
That's what I'm saying. Sorry, I meant show.
Right.
I think I said movie. Yeah, I meant show. Yeah. But that went for like 1 or 2 seasons. I think
done with the underwater base or whatever it was.
I believe so. Yeah, it was a long time ago, but you could.
Yeah, I mean, it was 80s, right? From what I remember. Yeah.
Some dodgy special effects on that shit. Yeah. Like back then, this looks real, and then you see it now, and you're like, nothing in this looks real. Go ahead, Johnny. What you're saying?
What's interesting about that is that I've seen. I really like the deep sea horror, like type stuff, because it does spook me. I have like deep sea, whatever, fear, apprehension. Deep sea phobia. There is a name I just forgot. But anyway, I do like watching those. But what you never see is the building, which is kind of interesting, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like in Subnautica, you're going out, you're building bases. And I always wonder in those movies, like, how the fuck did they build this, like, gigantic column underwater? Would be cool to see, like, a little bit of, I don't know.
The creation
have to make it fun for a movie. Mm-hmm. But if that was part of the movie, and the traveling with the submarine between.
Well, you could do it like Fallout, where you have one storyline being the building of, and then the next storyline being, popping off. The next storyline's these guys.
The aftermath.
40 years in the future, who have a full setup thing. Some people are saying Bioshock could be interesting, but I think Bioshock's entire story revolves around one character, so I don't know. It would be cool to show that being built or something, around that. Shrek says, bro, a Star Wars movie where it's 2 stormtroopers standing outside in the hallway blocking the door to Vader's room, and it's them standing and talking for 2 hours. And then they get shot and killed at the end. Okay.
That would be better than any other Star Wars movie right now.
Well, not any other. Come on, Empire Strikes Back's pretty sweet.
I mean, we do already have the Star Wars fan movie that made all the rounds back in the 90s, Troops, right? Which was the parody of Cops.
Yep. That was actually a phenomenal. Wasn't it also a YouTube series for a small amount of time? Where they followed them around?
They might have made it into
they
that
just merge
later
it
on.
into. Yeah,
I wouldn't be surprised if they made it
where they were like busting up Ewok groups and all kinds of shit. And that was a great idea, man.
Yeah,
Metro,
and they executed
Jay Reaper
really well.
says Metro would be very good. Beyond Good and Evil 2 would be good, or Beyond Good and Evil.
I would love to see something from the Atomic Heart world itself. Maybe not the same character, but just in that world would be really, really good. Just very weird, wild shit. But live action.
Yeah,
that'd be really cool.
Yeah, that would be cool. There's a lot of good worlds that exist that we always hear about Halo or Gears. It's like there's actually a lot there that I think fit movies, TV shows, and anime
worlds
better.
And not like certain narratives retold. I'm thinking of what would be an interesting world.
Let's see. What else do we got after that? Is that it for Fallout? Doing well?
Yeah.
Critics like it. Gamers seem to like it. Everybody likes it. Agreement won't last, right? That's going to go away really quick. But right now,
was Fallout TV show really that good?
We're going to get a 2-hour analysis video.
Why it actually
my brutally honest opinion of why Witcher 3 sucks kind of stuff. Brutally, it's always that. Moving on from there, I do want to talk a little bit about No Rest for the Wicked beyond just sort of my experience with it. But man, I tell you, the affiliate link shit and the influencer thing was fucking atrocious on that game. I don't know how much they spent on PR for that and buy in influencers, but it was impossible to get away from it. And then I saw people playing it and having issues, and it was sort of like they were trying to melt into the background. They were like, but overall, it's mixed. It's sort of in not necessarily dire shape because it's an early access, but at that cost and mixed, I think it's definitely hitting it. I will say I thought I saw some people who didn't like the combat stuff. I like that. I didn't like the moon gravity. So there's this odd thing that occurs in the game. If you've ever played, Silver's played Nox, right? It was like Diablo, but it was ancient. Okay. So Nox had, you bust up boxes and they sort of do the floaty thing and drop around you, and it's like, hey, look at our physics. No Rest for the Wicked does that, and it does it pretty well. But as you're playing it, everything has a weight to it that, as one of the guys who was playing it with me in our reviews or in our Discord was saying, that it feels like moon gravity. That's the only way to describe it, is like this moon gravity thing. Everything has almost, if you call it 100% physics, they need to turn it down to like 90. And that's like one of the things. Make it feel a tiny bit, because it is a game where you can die pretty quickly, and you need to be able to feel backed up by that. But the special effects were really good, and the world I found more interesting than I thought. There were some cool enemies, some cool exploration that reminded me of Surge 2, where you'd be going for an hour and then you'd kick down a ladder and suddenly you're back at the starting. Dark Souls stuff, but very convoluted because you can't move the camera in this. It's like locked in. And so you have to do certain movements and stuff. Am I the only one who's played this? No Rest for the Wicked?
Just watched you guys yesterday.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, just my initial thoughts from the trailer. The thing I was most excited for is their world building and characters. The trailer made it seem like it will have a really interesting story. That's why I'm not bothering with the early access. But I don't know about gameplay, because feel will always, in the trailer it looked really, really good, but once you get your hands on it, that might always change.
Well, I will tell you this, man. I want to do this super chat. Love the Game says, you think a Metal Gear Solid TV series is possible? I do. I don't know if it would be good, but I think that would be.
It would be terrible.
It would. Okay, there we go. And then last super chat would be, there we go. That's the end. And then Danny,
convoluted timeline.
It would be
so convoluted.
And then Danny.
Also, honestly, like there are a lot of good sides to Metal Gear Solid, but its strongest assets were rarely like the drama of the cutscenes themselves. Like
that was I thought the gameplay was.
They mostly just delivered information to you, and then the focus was on the gameplay.
And then Danny Passion, $2 super chat, a 3D Gears show made in UE5. Oh, I see. Yeah, Unreal 5.
Interesting.
That's probably what they will be using, at least for the backgrounds. With No Rest for the Wicked, I will say that the character voice acting is amazing. All the characters are amazing. Yeah, really good voice acting on everybody. Yeah, they didn't get too in depth in the story because there's not enough to get in depth in the story, but everything that was delivered there was high level when it comes to ARPGs and voice. Remember when Diablo 4 hit and people were like, yeah, multiplayer may be a thing, but the campaigns got amazing music and blah blah blah. That is exactly what this feels like. It's like that part of it is nailed. Really good voice acting in that game. I was actually quite impressed.
The mixed reviews and that shows that maybe Hades 2 did a good thing, that they have like a technical test going before the release of early access, because you don't want to see, because those stick forever. In early access, if you vote something down, those are forever, and unless you change it, right?
No Man's Sky is only now getting to mostly positive. Sean Murray just said,
or even very, very positive. Yeah, just got there.
Or is it very? Are you sure? I feel like they weren't even at very positive, and they were saying that they were just trying to get mostly positive. But okay, that's better even than what I thought, because I read it as just trying to get back to mostly positive. So that's good for them. I agree, dude. The beta test is a good idea because you also burn out some people's.
You're right. Sorry. Yeah.
For what? Oh, for No Man's Sky.
Yeah.
But for No Rest for the Wicked, I think a beta would have helped them a great deal. Yeah, because then some people who may get into the whatever are like, I've already said what I needed to say in the beta. Now I'm, I mean, maybe I won't rush to Steam, blah, blah, blah. Or maybe these things are already known. So But I think the cost was the big thing. Cost is a lot for, man, early access. You need to like have a fine line. And I remember when that cost popped up, a lot of people were like, woo, that's, that's high. Of course, you can find sales everywhere on anything if you take time. Because I've heard people say, well, you can get it if you do this. Yes. But we're just talking about what it's offered. And
I mean, even Baldur's Gate, right? I mean, I think a lot of people forget that even like a year, 2 years ago, there were actually people doomsaying about the game in its early access status.
Yeah.
I was
like
doomsaying
$25,
it's bugs. I was thinking it wasn't bug free, but I remember prior to Baldur's 3 coming out, and people we rated 1 to 10 for what bugs there would be, and I rated it a 6, and I definitely think it luckily hit higher than that.
Yeah.
Abbreviated review says the beta for Homeworld 3 War Games led to a delay where they apparently addressed many of the issues people had with the new designs. That's cool. Yeah, it's a smart move. Sorry, Johnny, go for it.
No, I was going to say, watching you guys play yesterday, the one thing I kept thinking was, I wish I could zoom in. Because there's so much detail, and it looks great. The
it's
art.
Like the Ascent, yeah.
Yeah, it looks great. And like one of you guys picked up a cool weapon. It was like shiny, but I could barely see. I know it's Discord, but I still had it blown up, like, my full big screen. And I was like, I can't really make out what I'm looking at.
That is a legitimate, real thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Eric, remember below?
That was what it was. That's what I was going to bring up. When we all got below, there was a bunch.
Yesterday.
Yeah, I did bring it up. But yeah, I forgot. You and I were talking about that. Yeah, when we all got below and we were like, okay, I can't wait to play it. And then that dude was that big. And I was all, what?
Hey, we had a blast.
We had a
like,
good time teasing it. Yeah, where's my guy? Like, that was insanity. That was like playing Berserk on the Atari 2600.
I never thought like I was being trolled as much as that. Like, I thought, no.
Yeah. Right, because it looked beautiful. I liked the art in that game. It just needed to be able to see the art on the guy.
Yeah.
I definitely think Wicked has some issues with zoom in. It would be nice, but they do a great job with transparencies and cutting off the geometry.
That's
so
good.
If you go into a room, it does this really cool thing where it takes the wall that's in front of you and it lowers it and raises it dynamically. So as you go in, it like lowers it more and more till it sort of comes to a minimum. It never goes away, but it comes to a minimum. And instead of the transparency, it does this geometry cut, which I think is really well done. It works really good.
That's good to hear, because for that game, if you're fighting something and the reason you die is because, like, the corner of some geometry got in the way. Like,
well, that unfortunately is one thing I did have, and it's early access. But man, did I have a lot of bugs. Like, I jumped off into the water one time and my character stuck, couldn't move. I was in the center of the water. I couldn't move, and your stamina goes away when you're in the water. So I just drowned. And that happened 2 or 3 times. And then another time, the ground killed me. I was just walking in the middle of a level, no bad guys, and my guy's like, and I was like, what the that was full health. Did it again, resaved or reloaded it one more time, never happened again. And I trolled that spot after that. I was like, there's got to be is there a trap? Is there a trick? And then one of the other guys who was playing went through that area like 6 times, never died. I have no clue what was going on. It wasn't burning. It was just, the game was like, let's throw. Maybe it was a heart attack. Maybe they have a heart attack system in the game, like Legion or something, Watch Dogs Legions, or Disco, where you try to get your tie and you're just like, But moving on from there, everybody got to see, Kingdom Come Deliverance's trailer was unfortunately, it happens. Somebody uploaded it to, I believe, IGN to have it go live when everybody else was, and for whatever reason, it went live early. But we found out 2024.
Yeah.
You guys.
So March 2025, right? or do you think it won't get? Yeah, maybe. But no, I'm very excited. Yeah.
By the way, what a banger of a trailer! I really enjoyed it. I thought they did a good job showing it and getting you excited for it. Even with Henry there, I still wonder how they're gonna bring it back to basics to start off the game and then build on it. That's always interesting.
It might be like a completely different feel for how you, like, maybe it's like bigger combat, bigger wars and shit like that. Just starting off with that. Yeah.
One thing they said in a developer update was that when you started out with him, you were a nobody. And now, because it started out as a man among the world as a nobody. Now you're a nobody among kings. So their idea, so I'm assuming there's some other gameplay
Interesting.
elements we're not seeing,
Yeah.
like lording and stuff that will require you to not relearn, but to learn skills. But Silver, did you see it? The Kingdom
Yeah, I
Come
did.
Delivered. What'd you think of that?
I thought it was good. Like it was very familiar. Which is not a bad thing really, because I liked Kingdom Come a lot. The first game. I mean, the first game is still a looker, I think, even today, with the updated textures and whatnot that they've released for it. So it still looks really good, and more of the same. Like Kudenberg looks like a really, really amazing location for a game. Like the sprawling city, the proximity of the houses and whatnot. It looks like a really memorable location that I'm really looking forward to exploring. Yeah, I'm really excited for it. I hope. I mean, it's going to be interesting again to see how they approach the immersion stuff. Because some of that was really amazing with Kingdom Come, and some of it was a bit iffier.
Yeah, right.
The deterioration system in particular really started to annoy me a bit, because stuff just deteriorated or decayed so quickly in the game. Like you would go wash your clothes and then you would step out into the street and your clothes would be immediately mud encrusted again, like 2 minutes later after washing up. So it was like, what's the point at that? So yeah, I hope they've sort of softened that a little. Also, like your sword would get almost broken from like 1 or 2 sword fights. Like that, it was a little too harsh, I felt. So maybe, hopefully, they softened that up a bit. But other than that, like the combat still looks really fun. Still looks like what it was in the first game, which I really enjoyed. Which is kind of, it feels very sort of Mountain Blade-ish, but also different. In a way that's really entertaining, and requires some skill. Although on the harder difficulties, it basically turns into the parry fest. But hopefully they'll change that up as well.
You know, you were talking about swords and all that kind of stuff. It would be cool if they just play it off the changes and just say he's a lord now. His metal is better. You know. He's just got better swords.
Yeah,
and
right.
You just adjust it that way, and you're like, oh no, you know, those kind, maybe because there's other stuff they could have, like, you know, relationship stuff, getting along with the other lords, that kind of stuff. I don't really know what we're going to see from it, but I do believe most of it
faction
will be
reputation or stuff like that.
Yeah. I just believe most of it will be the same, because it sounds like pretty much even while they were doing the DLC, they were just making the sequel. They don't want to change it too much because it's the same character. So I have a feeling it's going to be very sequel-like. You know, it's not going to be, oh, hey, it's a completely different thing. It's like, no, we're just, you know.
Yeah, you also have like the same, like Nemesis, the guy who killed like Henry's father is still there, like, and
you'll probably still use schnapps to drink or to go to sleep. You know,
I like that mechanic.
Yeah, I don't have any issue with it at all. I don't have any issue with some games' travel systems. I don't have any issue with that. I know. And, you know, it'll be the first mod, and you'll hear people say, why didn't the developer do it? Because the developer didn't do it. That's just it. The developer didn't do it. That's not what they want. But if you want to make it as a mod, it's exactly what you should do. And feel free. But I like that you have to get drunk to go to sleep. I just thought it was awesome. I was all right, man. That's how we save, or what have you. You could also save in that game in one other way, right? It wasn't just schnapps.
Well, you didn't use the schnapps to go to sleep. You just used the schnapps to save.
I know. I'm just pretending you were a drunk.
And
Sorry, that was just me.
You could also save by going to sleep, like sleeping in a bed.
Okay.
That would auto save your game, while drinking the schnapps would manually save your game. Like that would create like a manual save slot. Sleeping in a bed would like override your auto save slot.
Okay, I got you. It's been a while since I've jumped into that one in depth, but yeah, look, I mean, dude, I was watching somebody play it yesterday. A bunch of people jumped in. Graphics are insane for that game.
Yeah,
as old as it is.
My biggest takeaway from that trailer was like them rock textures look sexy.
Yeah,
them rock textures.
Come on, Bethesda! Come on, call them up, Bethesda.
They did reissue like higher definition textures for it like a couple of years ago.
I appreciate some good looking rocks, man.
Yeah,
I do too.
I
I
really
do too.
hope.
Yeah.
I really hope games haven't been doing this lately since a while ago, since maybe Dragon Age Inquisition. But I really hope they take the save game of the first one with all the choices and stuff you've done. You know?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't think about that.
Almost like Mass Effect.
Mass Effect.
Remember,
Dragon
like,
Age. Yeah.
They would
Dragon
do that
Age.
even if they would do like a little comic book style quiz.
Yeah, you
if
could also
didn't
do
have
a
save.
questionnaire and just be
For
like,
sure.
Yeah.
these are the lores of Henry. What did
Yeah.
you hear he did? And you're like, he did this, and then you just,
yeah. Yeah.
because some
That
people
would
won't
fit
have
well
played
with the
one.
website
I'd
as well.
be, fuck, dude, I'm all over that kind of stuff, man. If you just want to throw
Same.
a little lore thing in there, that works for me. Let
Yeah,
other
that's
people
how they
load
did it
their
for
save.
Witcher 3 as well, where you
Yeah,
had
when
the
you're getting a
interrogation.
haircut.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
So it's sort of overall it's sort of a thought process other devs have thought of. So I'm sure those guys are looking at it. They also have great DLC for the first one. They're good. They support DLC well. So yeah, I'm excited for it. Speaking of DLC, Silver and I were talking about this prior to the podcast, but Dying Light 2 released their, well, so was Abzy. Yeah, because you were talking about it too. The what's it called? Like not hard mode.
The
it's
nightmare mode.
Nightmare mode.
Nightmare.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Dude,
yeah.
those guys just fuck things up. They fuck around a lot. Like they've also reduced the volatiles on the the nicer parts of the,
The
city on the roof.
rooftops.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
finally you're not just consistently getting just destroyed up there.
Oh,
They
gotcha.
they
I was
25%.
temporarily confused. Sorry, because I always get the names confused. We have Dead Island and Dying Light. You guys are talking about Dying Light. The
Yeah.
Yeah.
They
Sorry.
also, that's all right. They also updated the guns 25%. The new gun add-on, they did 25% more damage on the guns, which I think actually you can give or take that. They are dead, so the idea of a bullet piercing them probably doesn't do a bunch of damage. But I like that they did that. And then nighttime, your light can go out or flicker and go out, and you have to like hammer it or something. I don't know the mechanic there, but I know they said if you have it on for too long, it'll like flicker and go out. But I'm excited, dude. I still play Dying Light 2 all the time. GeForce Now, man, I'll just sit in bed and just run around and smash shit because they also fixed the physics. Physics weren't bad at all in the first, or in number 2, but they actually redid them all to make them more like Dead Island 2. Speaking of what Johnny was saying,
Like the melee stuff,
yeah,
like
they
the close-up
redid
stuff?
way more damage
Combat
to the
feels way better.
enemies. Like they
Really?
look like they're getting smashed. Remember, Dead Island 2 showed you lungs and shit. I don't know if you guys remember. Dead Island
Yeah,
2 got
no, it was-
grosque.
Yeah.
Oof.
I mean,
Yeah.
it
had a
actually
whole
got me to be like,
system, like,
yeah, it had a
a
whole
whole
system, a whole
system for it,
gore
yeah.
system. So yeah,
They
Dying Light
also,
2, man. Go ahead.
With this update, one of I always talk about it here on the podcast, how much I appreciate when games do this, and they added community maps. So like you're gonna be able
Yeah.
to make your own maps and upload it and play in it, and I love that type of shit.
Yeah, I don't know. Were community maps already available in that game?
I have no idea. I have
Okay.
no idea.
Okay.
Yeah.
For some reason I thought there were already, but I just play single player usually, or jump in. Yeah, mostly single player actually. So I don't know what that
They're
had
also,
originally.
Apparently fixed a bunch of dialogue and cutscenes and animations and tightened them up, made them better. A lot of side characters were improved, and I guess dialogue was improved too.
Dude, they support
They said
games
over
in a way that
70
is
characters.
just,
Yeah.
it's ridiculous, man. I don't know how they're doing the finances of it. And, people be like, every game should do it. It's obvious that that's not how the finances are done in every game. Some games cost more, less. They don't have the reason. I don't know. They don't have the talent, maybe. They don't have an engine that supports it. But for whatever reason, Dying Light 1 had the following and then 10 years of support. 10
Yeah.
fucking
And even a battle
years.
royale mode randomly for a little bit.
Oh, did it for Oh, well, that was
Yeah.
was that in the following? That might have been in the following, or it
It's
might have been.
after.
Is it
was
after?
like
Okay.
after the blowing up of PUBG and all that shit.
Oh,
H1Z1.
well, yeah, right, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I'm surprised there wasn't a
Fortnite.
fucking MOBA in there, but
Yeah.
I mean, it's awesome that they're supporting it. The number of people who I know I think most of the people I know actually really enjoy that game, but in the end, if you don't or didn't, it might be something worth leaping into now. I mean, there's a crazy amount of content for that game, and we're seeing other companies go back. Like, look at Bethesda's doing. We're finally getting the Fallout update / what is it? Graphics and bugs fixes, I guess. Widescreen support on PC or something. I think
Yeah,
is what I
basically
read.
stuff mods already did. So modders are upset though now because there's huge mods coming out like Fallout London that are gonna have to be worked on for the new patch, and now they're looking for ways around it and like for ways to downgrade so that a lot of mods could work.
Oh, I see. Yeah, I'm actually happy with the official. I've done mods before, and I can tell you, you just know.
I'm gonna do vanilla.
You just know that an update can break a mod. It's just life. As a mod maker,
Absolutely.
it sucks because big timing, you have all your stuff, but it's also, by the way, this was hinted at like, what, a year and a half ago? So we already knew they were doing it. They were just quiet during the Starfield launch, and it's like we knew it sucks because those big mods like London was on its way, right? London was within a couple weeks of its launch. And I mean, hopefully what it breaks is like something that you can go in and be like, oh, the script is improved. That's the other thing. What if you worked around something because of a problem and that problem's fixed? Maybe you can get some improvements on FPS or you could efficiencies, you know, stuff like that. So it's great for consoles. Next gen update for consoles as well. Yep, yeah. So it's gonna get It's gonna get
I'm excited
updates for
I
every platform.
Yeah, I really.
You
want
mean
to do a
just jump
vanilla
in
run of
and
that.
just not
Jump
no mods
in,
at all?
no mods, do Far Harbor and do everything, do Far Harbor. Yeah.
I liked your idea of installing a Wabbajack where you don't know all the mods, so that way the game is a new surprise. I actually love the idea of that, being like, I'm just going to do a Wabbajack where
Wabbajack's amazing. Yeah.
Wabbajack is well, and File Nexus has the file list collections. And dude, like, yeah, I was looking at some of those going, it'd be sort of cool to just say, here's my vanilla game. This guy says he's got a collection. I'm just going to see what the world feels like now, because it's almost like remember how Sekiro and Hitman had you could have enemy
stuff?
randomizers.
Yep. And Vortex is hugely improved and works so easily with collections.
Yeah, it is definitely improved. Because I know a lot of people had some issues with that at the starting, but that's life. Let's see. So Dying Light's got a big patch. That's got a big patch. No Man's Sky did their Outpost. No, what's that newest DLC they did? It changes the Outpost. I can't remember the name. Sentinel? No,
that was one of the
I'm trying to
older
guess.
ones.
That's one of the older ones. Silver, do you ever jump back into No Man's Sky?
No.
No. Okay. I was wondering if you were going to jump back in to see, because I'm excited.
Orbital?
I told Johnny and I think Abs yesterday, or maybe I just imagined you guys were there, but I wish this update was the first one. Because to me, the outposts were the most generic of all the things. The space stations were the most generic. It was always get off, left or right. You know, every time it was the same. And I don't know their tech. I'm just saying I wish it was. That's all. I'm not saying I know how to do it. I just wish it was. But because jumping back in is always rough. Wouldn't it be amazing, guys, if they had an update called "We Fixed the Stupid Shit" and it was better combat?
The intro?
No, the combat.
Oh, the combat.
On the ground combat. Like, I don't think it's possible for whatever
and
reason.
UI.
Yeah, UI. 77 patches later, their UI still feels like a fucking GUI from like 1998 or something. Something about everything in that game's like front end is like slow to get anything done. What Silver? Have there been any games? You do Warhammer a bunch, so I assume there's a bunch of patches for that. Are there any other games like in the last year that you've gone back to because of a big patch? Like Hitman? Did you go back to Hitman when they did some of their patches for the Hitman series?
I did with Freelancer.
Freelancer?
When they launched Freelancer a year ago. So yeah, and definitely, I mean, whenever there's an expansion pack for Warhammer 3, I definitely go back play that a ton more. So definitely, yeah.
Do you just have Warhammer perpetually installed on your machine then? I'm assuming you do, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, it makes sense. Do you mod?
I mean, not
just
Warhammer, but a bunch of Total War games actually.
I like the one that's the most hated, I believe, the Empire at War or whatever it's called. I think it's the first.
Empire. Yeah.
It's most hate. I don't know why I like it. Nostalgia. I'm not saying I play it now and I like it, but when it came out, I love that. And man,
I think it's an amazing game. Though I just prefer Napoleon to that. I think Napoleon is more sort of refined version of that.
What about you, Johnny? Any titles with big patches that have popped up in the let's say last year where you're all, dude, I've jumped back into this because that. I mean, No Man's Sky maybe.
Well, Cyberpunk. We talked We talked
yeah.
about
Cyberpunk,
it when it came up. I thought a lot of the new additions were really good, made it more enjoyable. A lot of stuff that us, the community, wanted for quite a while. So yeah, they did a good job listening to input and putting stuff in the game.
Let's see. Reading up some of this. ACG, do you think Avowed is coming this year? 50-50.
Yeah.
You'll say yeah. I'll say 50-50. What about you, Johnny? Avowed. That's the Obsidian
I have
fantasy
nothing on
one.
that one.
You got nothing on it.
Yeah, I got nothing.
I think the chances are good. I mean, obviously no guarantees, but with what, like, I don't know. I just got the sense from how they showed it and how they talked about it that it looks likely to be this year.
I'll just say this: I absolutely hope. Like I don't. I mean, if you delay a game, it's great. It means there's a reason why you delayed it. But I do hope, because I would love to have an October, November, December timeframe to play that.
Yeah.
I do like their games that are a smaller package than the Skyrims or the Starfields. Like, I did like Outer Worlds a lot. I still do like Outer Worlds. I love the DLC, the Murder on Eros, I think. One of the better DLCs I've ever played. And Avowed seems to be that smaller thing, you know, that thing that you can jump into, and it's a little bit more condensed.
Still bigger than Outer Worlds, though. They made sure to just say.
Oh, Avowed is bigger than Outer Worlds?
Yeah, scope-wise.
Scope-wise. Okay, because I was going to say, but even the planets weren't huge in Outer Worlds, so that makes sense. They could do that with just a fantasy land. And where's this one? What world is this?
It's in the Living Lands, which is basically a region in the universe where there's a bunch of different like wild ecosystems. Like you'll go to like a snowy region, and right next to it there'll be like a forest area with like very crazy fauna and flora. And it was always like my go-to choice for my character background is to be from
where you were from. Okay.
Yeah, Living Lands. Yeah. So I'm very excited because I've wanted a game set in the Living Lands for a long time.
I do want to point this out. Indio says, I went back to Starship Troopers, and I did want to bring this up because they did do a massive patch we talked about yesterday in the Discord. Extermination, he went back for the recent patch. It had a lot of improvements in matchmaking and revamping classes. That's a game that, from the people I've talked to who played it, really liked Starship Troopers. But for whatever reason, it just, and it might be something to do with the game, I have no clue, but it came and went. Like, I talked to a lot of people who really I think it was Delrith from used to be on Angry Joe. He does his Twitch stuff. When I was talking to him, I believe he was one of the ones who was like, man, I really like this game. And it's sort of like bop, bop, bop. And you know, you don't hear much about it. So the fact that they patched, that's cool. Zariel says Pillars of Eternity World.
I mean, we're talking, just to clear it up, we're talking Extermination, right? Or is it Terran Command?
I'm talking about the newer one.
It's the co-op game.
Yeah. I am. Yes, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah,
that's Extermination. Yeah.
Sailor Mercury says, I liked Outer Worlds. I wish Starfield was smaller and the planets were more fine-tuned, like Outer Worlds. See,
the thing is...
Yeah, I can see why. I can see why,
but at the same time, it's Outer Worlds is a more focused narrative. Obsidian usually does the focused, more narrative RPG choice kind of games. But Starfield is more of a sandbox, so it makes more sense for them to have it less focused and kind of a huge playground for you to do stuff, and obviously modders and shit. So
I think the best thing Starfield could do, and I would love to see them do, I would love to see this learning machine, normal developers, I don't care who, go through and fix the one thing I have a problem with, and I bring up that's really good in like Witcher 3. Witcher 3's transition between rural and urban is incredible. Little bits of debris that show somebody lived there, and it grows and grows and grows for the most part. And then you see the city. But in Starfield, there was a lot of, you would land, you would look around, there would be like some gas tanks, it was these spots. And I was talking to the guys last night saying, do you know what would sell me quite easily? Some pipe systems going from a main place to the hub.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's all I would need is some fucking pipes, man, to say, oh, we dug over here. And that's why there's a tool chest with some shit in it over here. Because sometimes you'll be running around.
Or dirt roads or something.
Or dirt, yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely like lunar, where you can see the tracks maybe of a lunar vehicle, even though you can't have your own vehicles. I'm fine with
that. Like the research station at the edge or whatever.
Yeah. And by the way, I can ignore Starfield and say any game that does this kind of stuff, I would like to see that. To me, the transition is what is a lot of games miss. You know, they don't. Yeah. And so you see that. Remember when we used to play old games, they didn't have enough resources for debris systems, and you'd walk into a hallway, and it just looked like a hallway that somebody had, hallway 1A from the asset list, and they just put it there so they could have the next room, and you're all, And then they started doing duct, and then they started doing pipes, and now there's debris, and then Batman said, fucking, we're going to put debris to a 9th level and have papers blowing around everywhere. That kind of stuff's awesome. It makes it feel just connected. Makes it feel like, an actual world. But back to about
rather than just blips on the map screen or whatever.
Or snap map with Quake. Or was that Quake? Which one had snap maps? Was that Doom? No, that wasn't Doom. Yeah, it was Doom. Doom had snap maps. Do you guys remember that, where you could create your own maps in Doom? I like the idea, but it never sort of worked for me.
I used to make my own levels all the time in Duke Nukem 3D back in the day. Yeah.
Was it a good editor? Man, I don't remember anything about that editor. Or was it not edited? Was it straight up?
I had some issues with it, I think, because of my graphic card at the time, the way it sort of displayed textures on walls, but I sort of managed to work around that. I thought it was fairly easy to understand and to get wrap your head around. That made it easy to work with and quite enjoyable to work with, yeah.
When you I can't describe it because that emotion's gone, but I can say my rose-tinted glasses. The first time you make something in a game and you hit start and that fucking thing loads without an error, and even if it's a hallway and one bad guy and he's walking around, you're like, I have created a world, then you see it a year later and you're like, damn, that was nothing. But it feels so good to be able to create a level in like Doom or what have, even if it is snap maps, that kind of stuff. I think it's awesome, man.
Until you load up someone else's level. Yeah.
We were joking about that yesterday, like, fuck talented people, right? You'll dude, man, Arma, I would do stuff and my friends we would have such a great time, and then I'd be like, oh, another person made a map and it's got helicopters landing and fucking people on the radio talking, and I'm all, oh, all right, I see what the level is. There's always going to be somebody out there who's like the, Post Malone of game. I released one map. He's like, I released 32 for free.
I was always way too ambitious for the stuff I wanted to do with Operation Flashpoint and Arma. At one point I wanted to make a mission where you got airdropped, then you got picked up by the civilian resistance, driven through a checkpoint where you had to hide in a truck, and then you had to then the truck got attacked, you had to get out, you had to fight off partisans and whatnot, and just the scripting of that was so advanced and it kept breaking over and over and over that I just could not get it to work, and I worked on it for days and weeks and I just could not get it to work.
Pitchfork brings up something that I was actually thinking about when Abzi was talking about Outer Worlds and how they make their games, and then we were talking about maps. The Far Cry editor is good, and I have heard that. I saw somebody make Skyrim and Far Cry 5, I think, map editor. And
GoldenEye, the first episode,
there's some crazy stuff.
The first level, yeah.
I never, when I jump into Far Cry, I just play the game. But from what I understand,
it was just limiting
people are able
because
to do shit.
It's not like Forge or like the other ones where you can, add mechanics or whatever, or add rule sets. It's mostly just a map editor. And
I think they're small too, right? Aren't the maps that you made? They're nowhere near like the major. It's like a battle area or something.
Some are bigger, but a lot of them, are small. But it was really enjoyable. I did a bunch with my friend when we were playing Far Cry 5.
Jonas Berg says, "How much will it cost for KARAK to eat that rotten fish thingy that Silver was talking about? What's it called? Storming. How much would it cost? How much would it cost? It would cost exactly $1 more than you have." Benjamin says Far Cry was just a tech demo for CryEngine. Far Cry 1? I don't know if I believe that, because Far Cry 1 was fucking awesome. Yeah, I don't know. If it was awesome tech demo, because I played the shit out of that tech demo game for years, Far Cry was one of my favorite games. This popped up in Discord, and I don't agree with it. But I'm not going to tell you what I don't agree with. I'm going to ask you, which Crisis is the best one?
One.
Okay.
That's an easy answer.
Are we in agreement there?
Crisis Warhead.
Oh, that was a console Crisis, was it not?
No, that was the expansion pack for Crisis.
Was that the expansion pack for Crisis? Okay.
Yeah, the one that made you play as a psycho, like the Jason Statham character.
I never played that one.
I don't know if I played that one either. Yeah. Well,
but
Johnny?
One just had the most. Sorry.
Go ahead.
Yeah,
no,
I was just gonna say, for me, I like two, and I played a little bit of 2 and 3. I didn't play too much, but they felt way more linear than I would have liked. I just liked setting stuff up for 1, like being in these little open areas and doing stuff I wanted to do, approaching combat the way I
Far
wanted.
Cry 1, hasn't aged well or whatever, but at the time, I remember just playing with friends and scoping somebody from a long ways away. The AI was on, because I was so accustomed to old console games where the AI wasn't on. You could kill people if you could get the scope, and you could shoot, where they'd just be like, frozen in time because you weren't within their circle rate. But I wasn't a big fan of the other ones as much. I did like them, but yeah, I felt they
felt good.
Like they felt good as shooters.
Yeah.
Johnny, any Crysis for you?
I think for me, Crysis, the thing, I like the third one because it was very like cleaned up. It was polished, was really good. But and I like the city stuff in it, but the fact is, the first one, you kind of feel like the Predator in the jungle.
That's true. Yeah.
Which is kind of like the big selling point for me. It's like you have these outrageous powers, basically, and you're just out there catching people unexpected, and they're like, "Oh my god, what's?"
Yeah, and blowing stuff like down,
and then in the third one, people see you coming, they expect you. And they kind of understand what you have in terms of abilities and stuff. There are even like similar enemies.
That's a good point, because it's a little like Henry in Kingdom Come. It's like once you get to a level where everybody knows who you are and stuff, then it takes away a little bit of the mystery of no one knows who I am. And even the enemies, like you said, when they know what you have or what have you, it sort of ruins a little bit of that surprise. Dickhead, here I am, able to do 50 things you can't, and the panic. I mean, it was like Halo felt that way after a while. Once they, Covenant knows who you are, all that kind of stuff. Some of the mystique was gone. Where
everybody
in the first
sees you
one,
coming, everybody knows perfectly.
And the game devs have to balance it so the enemies have a weapon that just happens to be at the same shield harmonics rate as yours, so it destroys your shield.
Like
and you're like, come on. Yeah, the kryptonite. Yeah, stuff. Every game's got to have the kryptonite once you get to like number 2 or 3. But I'm reading here, it looks like Crysis Warhead. I remember 3 had a bow, played 2 a lot back in the day. Love the bow. Okay, so apparently the bow was a big deal. I don't remember the bow. Wait, you could add add-ons to the bow, though. Couldn't you? I feel like you could put a scope on the bow and stuff. Maybe I do remember that. It's been a long time since.
I think the bow was also in the second game, wasn't it?
Well, I believe it was, but for some reason the third makes me remember a radial dial with a bunch of options, almost confusing. Like there was almost
they definitely were expanded on it.
They made it more console like controller.
That's what I feel too. Do you know what it reminds me of? Deus Ex 2 Shadow War, which I liked. It was made for consoles, and so it felt different than Deus Ex 1 and I think, what are they? What is that called? Mankind Divided and Human Revolution?
Yeah.
Where they went a little between all of them.
Yeah, it's like the Crysis 2 and 3, I think, were influenced heavily by the CODs blowing up. All the COD 4, and then after that, everything,
Everybody sees a game and is like, we need that.
Yeah.
And we need a little bit of that, even if it's not like the full part. You can tell. Yeah, you can definitely tell.
Mm-hmm.
Next thing I want to talk about is Xbox games are leading on the PlayStation Store. So this is a little... Okay, listen. It's fine. It's cool. Xbox fans are like, ha-ha! Ha-ha! Xbox games are number 1 on the PlayStation Store. I do have to say a couple of those are the Activision titles. And so if we're sitting here, and everybody's dissing on the fact that they bought Activision, it's like, technically, not really Microsoft. I mean, it is Microsoft, but you get my drift. It's like, it's sort of... Even if you remove those, I still think it's at least equal to or whatever. But basically the big deal was that Microsoft titles on the PlayStation Store, they had more in the top like 25 than Sony. I don't know why 25 was chosen, because maybe that is the only way they won, and at 20 it wouldn't be that way. I don't know. I didn't check. But regardless, games are selling well for Microsoft on PlayStation, which, whether you like it or hate it, welcome to the future, and only the starting of the future. Like the rumors that are going around are insane.
Games everywhere. Yeah, I'm all for it.
I get why people celebrated it. I do, because people are like, oh, we're constantly, this is kind of like we're being shit on or what have you or blah blah blah, and now they're making money on Sony. Guess what? Every sale, Sony's making money too. So at some point,
Everyone's
just
happy.
calm your fucking jets. Like, just calm down.
They're more mad than the people running those companies. I feel like, you know, the people running those companies are like, hell yeah, dude, more cash flow.
Yeah, yeah. And the console, whoever owns the store is getting money. So it's not like, and Microsoft stated that openly. One of the reasons in the past they didn't want to do it is because, you know, their competitor is going to make money. But at some point they looked at it and were like, okay, no longer makes sense. Shit's changing, guys, man. Oh, there you go, Lawman. The world will be okay. Exactly.
Yes, true that.
Everybody will be fine. And at some point, we'll all remember this, like the first day we bought horse armor in Skyrim. Lawnman says, or not Lawnman, Sailor Mercury says Xbox gets crapped on a lot, so I think people are celebrating a win. Listen, Xbox was number one for a while against the PS3, and people still did this. It doesn't matter. It's just console warriors. But regardless, games are selling on multiple systems. Expect more, not less. Microsoft's got a taste. Sony's got a taste. Nintendo. If the Switch is powerful enough, you're going to see, you know, some day-and-date games that I think make people go, oh, what the fuck? But who cares?
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who cares? I mean, I don't know if you guys saw that, but Activision said we continually talk still about WoW being on the console. Go for it, man.
I think it's a matter of time, man.
Well, dude, they just added keyboard to like 6 games on Microsoft. They just on the cloud versions. It's like, you know, somebody at Activision right now is coding that.
Like standard almost.
Yeah.
And then the other thing is we figured out some really good systems to make controller work with even these busy MMO games. Like Final Fantasy XIV has a great controller implementation.
Kudos
like
to them.
you know, other games do a really good job too. So it's kind of like a cracked problem.
Yeah,
you know, people can take that and build.
You know what?
Even Arma.
They
has done
already
it.
have
even
controller.
Arma. Sorry, that is true though. Go ahead, Abzi.
WoW has had controller support a beta for a while now. They're definitely doing something. Yeah.
I used a YouTuber's. I can't remember if you were here on that podcast, Abzi, but I used a YouTuber's template that they had for WASD or whatever it's called on PC, and I played a lot of. It was Star Wars: Knights of the Old Republic on a controller, and it actually worked quite well. I was like, all right, man, this works for me, you know, because sometimes. I don't mind having the keyboard and mouse, but sometimes trying to get it propped on that platform isn't really necessarily comfortable, but I want to sit on my couch, feet up. I bought a couple platforms to try to do it and never felt exactly perfect, but the console actually worked pretty well. Let's see. WoW on consoles is not happening soon. They need to trim a lot of skills to make it possible. Incorrect, as we just said. That is absolutely not what they will do. They will have mouse and keyboard and just say you need to meet us halfway. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're not going to sit there and worry about the console stuff when it comes to the controller. They'll be like, USB keyboard now works. Figure your shit out on your own.
Where do you feel we're at with like RTS games and controller? Because I think you tried Age of Empires.
I did. Age of Empires worked great, but it did not work as good as mouse and keyboard.
I need
it worked
my hotkeys,
great,
man.
Yeah. They did, by the way, I think Age of Empires is probably the best. It really does work on the controller.
It gets you 90% there.
Gets you 90% there. Yeah. And Steam controller, I know a lot of people love the haptic Steam controller thing, but that was always going to be an outlier because the consoles don't have them. You know, until the consoles have those kind of things. You could possibly use a PS5's little Sense pad or whatever, but that thing for me has really bad sensitivity. There's times where I'll hit it, it won't go off. I haven't been super in love with that.
My tragedy with the Steam Deck is that it has this haptic feedback thing. It feels great, like the feedback and everything, but I haven't found a single game where that has worked well for me. And I know I can dial in the sensitivity, but to be fair, I bought the thing to just plug it in and play a game, not to like.
Because I think Abzi and I completely disagree on the other thing for the PlayStation, which he likes the haptic triggers, and I absolutely despise them.
I'm a huge fan of vibration stuff. Yeah,
I'm a fan of vibration, not a fan of the pushback. I don't want my thumb being impacted by twisting on the controller. Yeah, I just never felt right.
The force back.
The force back. It just didn't ever work for me. Go ahead, Abzi.
No, I thought it worked great in Returnal. It has a mechanic for that where if you press a little bit
I hate
you can
it.
aim, and then I love that type of shit.
What was it? You press
thought
a
it was
little
right.
bit, and what happens at one
And
shot?
it's a normal aim, and then
It's
if
a
you press
different
it
shot.
down, it's like the weapon's
Oh, right.
ultimate.
Right.
Yeah. I think it worked good for me, but I'm liking those advancements and controllers.
I
Like
do too.
tactile
I
kind of stuff.
I don't blame them for putting it in there.
Yeah.
And even the sense pad, maybe less so the sense pad. I think that thing has not panned out, but overall, yeah, like I want to see more of it work. Silver, you don't mess around with any of this kind of stuff, right? You're either mouse and keyboard or controller, right? You don't mess with any of the weird. You don't like use the sense pad on games or
No,
anything.
not
like that?
really.
Yeah. What about gyro, Silver? You ever messed with gyro? Because
I hate gyro.
okay.
Yeah. Well, the only I think I've used it in Splatoon
There's
a little
no-
bit.
okay. Well, go ahead, Abzi. What were you saying? That just
No, I was just saying the only time I really actually used gyro was in Splatoon because I couldn't aim, and because of the Nintendo controllers, and it was easier just to do that. Sometimes for like just pinpointing your
Fine-tune.
aim, but usually, man, I just turn that shit off. Sometimes it's so you never know, right? Other than the Wii, you just never know with that stuff. It's very wishy-washy.
Also, I am not a fan of. So I have a mouse button here where in most games they have the DPI and you can change the sensitivity when you zoom in, which I think is fine, and I do adjust it slightly. But I have a mouse that will turn it down if I hold the button, so it'll go even lower. And I can tell you even that I don't like as much because it's just 3 degrees and it adjusts everything else. And so what I do is usually just find some happy medium that works for me with the one zoom in, and I'm good with it. But I do like that they're adding it to stuff. Somebody was saying Gears of War Tactics worked well. Gears of War Tactics is not a real-time
RTS.
strategy. That's a turn-based, but I agree with you
Turn-based
100%
works
that
really well.
turn-based, yeah, they do. Turn-based, dude, I think turn-based, I have no issue really playing turn-based games with controller. In fact, I think at times,
You don't need to
depending
be
on the game.
fast. You don't need hotkeys and all that.
Yeah, like Baldur's Gate had a cool system with the wheel, right? You could customize
Yes,
it too.
that's what I was actually going to bring up. But also, Pillars did a patch, and I think on the Switch version they had sort of figured out a way to do the dial thing, and it actually worked quite well for a controller.
It also works really well with XCOM, like I think you mentioned.
Oh
Yep.
yeah.
Yep, I think those are like its strengths for a controller is that on the turn-based you just don't have to worry about that speed of, of bouncing around and you miss it because the thumbsticks aren't as as discreet as a mouse.
It also helps that like they're smaller scale, so you don't like have to like switch between like multiple like control groups.
Yeah,
control group 1, control group 2 that you have to like designate and stuff.
Do you guys do that in real-time strategy? Are you guys
yeah.
big control 1 group is footman, control 2 group?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Man,
That's what I meant by hotkeys, because like in Age of Empires, especially, like I even when I used to play the Blizzard
StarCraft.
one. Yeah,
StarCraft.
I need different unit groups. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm a caveman. I drag and I get close to all. Oh, bro. And if I get, if there's a couple spearmen in there, they're going to their death. Like, I'm just like, dude, fuck, whatever, I'm pretty close. And then those guys go over and attack. I would not do well in, like a multiplayer scenario with good players, but it works well enough for me. Somebody was bringing something up. They were asking, Liam says, is the Tobii eye tracker any good? So I will tell you this. I've done one video on the Tobii that was Gen 1. I think they're at Gen 3 or 4. Eye tracking in some games works phenomenally well, including Division 2. It is almost unbelievable how good that works in Division 2, how enjoyable it is to look over at an enemy, and the moment you aim, it goes pop. But eye tracking will never be perfect until they start getting really good laser systems, stuff like that. It is just a camera. And it's trying
also
to
know
look track.
people who swear by it in Arma.
What? Denarma?
In Arma.
Oh, in Arma. I'm sorry. Yeah, I could see somebody swearing by that in Arma. Actually, it might even be better in Arma than it would be. I gotta try.
Yeah, because in Arma, it allows you for the like free head movement,
right?
Where you don't necessarily move your body,
yeah,
or the weapon, but you can just look around.
I've used generic open source head tracking before. You put the little dots on your headphones. You put one here and two here, and those work pretty well in an Arma to just look around a little bit. And especially in a monitor my size, it actually helps a
Right.
lot because a bigger monitor. Were you saying something, Abzi? I'm sorry.
No, I was
Did
just trying to. I was joking. I was trying to piss you off with the lasers in your retina. Yeah.
Nope. Nope. It's not pissing me off. It's frightening the shit out of me. Christopher says, ACG, what about Warhammer Demon Hunter? It's tactics, but I don't think playing on controller would work. Man, have I done Demon Hunter? I don't know if I've done Demon Hunter yet. Have you done Demon Hunter, Silver? The Warhammer Demon Hunter game? There's like 18 Warhammer games.
There's
Yeah.
so many.
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Is that
I think
the
the
same
latest
as
one I
Plague
played
Hunter
was-
or Plague something? Go ahead. Sorry. I was just talking.
Was Chaos Gate, the XCOM one.
Is that new or is that? Do you mean the old? Like is that?
Well,
the
a couple,
newer
of,
one?
couple of years old now.
Oh, couple years.
Yeah,
Um,
that's
okay.
you did a review on it recently. Yeah,
Yeah.
but recently I discovered I had no idea, but there's Warhammer 30K and Warhammer 40K. Are those?
I don't know about you,
Yeah,
Silver.
30K is Horus Heresy, I believe.
There's only 40K.
Okay, because I don't. I my
It's
brain
kinda the-
never like
the
caught that.
prelude.
It's always Warhammer.
They don't call it 30K though.
Okay,
It's
gotcha.
like the Horus Heresy timeline, I think.
Oh wait,
Gotcha.
Christopher's just talking about a turn-based game. He's talking about the turn-based one. Turn-based works on a controller. Yeah, we're talking about real time. Yeah, sorry if you're talking about the one I reviewed. I didn't remember it being called Demon Hunters. I thought it was Plague. There's Plague something
Chaos
that came
Gate,
out.
Demon Hunter. Remember,
Yeah, there's-
that's the one where.
Yeah, that's the one that. But it's turn-based. We were
Yeah,
talking about real
it's-
time. So
yeah.
I thought he meant there's a real-time
Done.
ARPG one that came out.
Oh,
That I
gotcha.
thought he was
Yeah,
talking
yeah.
about that with it, and I still think controllers are a little
Martyr
behind
or
the
some
scenes.
shit. Yeah.
Yeah, there's so many Warhammer games, and there's
And
a
they're all
couple.
medium,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
It works. I think it works reasonably well with a controller.
The newer
Chaos
one?
Gate.
Yeah,
Chaos
Chaos Gate.
Gate does, I think.
Yeah, there's one that came out that I always get PR on, and I keep saying the word plague in my head, and I don't know if that's what it's called, but something I think with a plague name, a plague word in it, and I think that one's an ARPG if I remember right. I feel like it was real time or some kind of real time. Let's see. Yeah, Chris, I did review that one. Sorry, we were talking about RTS, not turn-based. Wizard of Smoke says, off topic, Microsoft has announced Manor Lords as console and cloud Game Pass release. A lot of folks are under the impression it's PC only. Gotcha. It is not console Game Pass release, actually. That comes later. It is just PC at first. They don't even have a date for the console. That's why a lot of people are a little confused about it. There is no actual date for the console.
Is early access? Does it happen on console often? Like early access console games?
Elite did it, and Elite, they dropped support completely for the console versions, which sucks. But yeah, EverQuest, I believe, or Everspace was also, I believe.
Interesting.
I think there's
Random.
also quite a few of those like survival early access games that
Right.
release
Yeah.
on console as well.
Yeah,
There
yeah.
you go, Grounded.
They have
was
they
in
have
one.
a Grounded. Yeah, true. They have this term. Oh, Warhammer Realms of Ruin, Plague. I was close, but yeah, they're both ruinous. Yeah, you're right.
Rowan
is what it is.
Plague.
Ruin, Plague. You know, it's terrible
It's
no
in
matter
there.
what. Don't nab me. I was very close. It was within a couple letters, a couple dozen. I would say with Microsoft, they have a term for their thing. It's not early access. They have a term for it. It's like, but it
Preview.
means early access. Preview. Yeah,
Game
preview.
preview.
That's
Yeah.
what it is. Yeah, game preview.
Yeah.
And I've jumped into a couple. I believe Elite was one of them. Like I said, some space games. Silver was right. Probably some survival games, that kind of stuff. But I don't mess with, early access much. It's just I'm always a little nervous about it. Let's see. Chris says, my fault. I just thought those games are hard to play without a mouse and keyboard. Yeah, I don't think the turn-based ones are too hard to. I haven't had an issue with Warhammer stuff. It's if they support it and they support the hot tabbing. Where if you hit right, it goes up. I don't want the mouse. The soft mouse is always a little.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man, I
question.
don't like.
You don't want to move a cursor around.
Yeah,
No,
Destiny,
please
you're
stop.
moving
Assassin's
the
Creed. Stop
Assassin's
doing
Creed,
that,
yeah,
man.
dude.
Please.
And what's weird is Assassin's Creed could do both if they wanted. Hey, you want the
Yeah.
soft cursor to? If
just
you
use
want to
a
take a bunch
D-pad
of time, you
versus-
jackass, we'll let you. But the rest of us, the not
Harry
heathens, will-
Potter did it.
Oh, did Harry Potter do it?
Yeah.
Yes.
That was one of Johnny's complaints, actually.
Let me
the
tell you about
menus,
Harry
yeah.
Potter. All I remember about the music or the menus with
Oh,
the
the
music in those
Yeah.
menus
Yeah,
in Harry
it was
Potter.
great. It
That's
was great.
So the I guess the music
that
soothed
made
my
it
soul.
bearable to
Yeah.
go through the menus.
Yeah.
Yeah,
just
maybe.
so
I mean,
bad.
dude, I did sit in that menu for a while and listen to music. So
Yeah.
maybe.
Yeah.
I mean,
You
I
have
could have
to,
even
because the
talked about it in the
menu
review,
sucks.
but I. Wow.
So-
Okay. Yeah, yeah. I mean, soft cursors do suck, right? They just
Yeah.
they do suck.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be done, man. It feels it always feels messy using a thumb. Yeah. Yeah. Do exactly what I say, bitch. No. Let's see. Coolabon says, yeah, Xbox does early access quite often. PlayStation doesn't do it as often. Dreams was the only one I can remember. Dreams.
Dreams. Yeah, that's the one where you create your own games.
Yeah, they
What
never
happened
do
to
it,
that?
right?
Oh,
They
and
just-
Microsoft had Spark.
Yeah.
I fucked
I
around
don't
with
even
Spark a lot. I
remember.
liked Spark. It was
Spark.
another create your own,
Oh.
Now that
your
UE
own
5
quest.
is out, I think they haven't been, doing a lot of.
Why try to push the
Lot of
boundaries
those.
when the boundaries are at a level that you could push the game and just use what's already there? It's like that's why I think a lot of these companies are going to go with that. NG says, I'm surprised the Ori Devs game wasn't in-game preview. Oh, that's true.
No, yeah, the new didn't they break off from Microsoft after Ori? So it's not exclusive anymore, right?
Right. Yeah.
No Rust, yeah.
Yeah, that's probably why. But I think what he's saying is since it's in early access on Steam and it will come to the consoles, it would,
Right.
seeing it there would be good. Yeah, true. But back to the fucking Jace. That went off. We were talking about, so Microsoft's selling well on the store. I did see some people joking around about it, teasing each other, but the long and short of it is just it's just really good news, man. It's good news for gaming right now. The industry isn't in the best shape, so I'd rather take that, and we can figure it out later. I think it's a positive thing. I can't see anything negative about it. I'm sure somebody does, but for me, seems pretty positive. I asked a bunch of people if they had stuff on Twitter, and I've done this before, and I have forgotten to go to them. And I'm going to do that now, so I don't forget the Twitter Pete. Chris says, glorious, just because of the podcast. Rig says, looking forward to it. Just trying the EA for No Rest for the Wicked. Think it's looking great, but many games seem to get harsh reception on Steam recently. Do you think this is a new trend, or if the mixed rating is accurate? I do think mixed is accurate, but I also do agree with you. We've talked about it a ton of times. Steam reviews can be a little wonky. Ransom says, what's your favorite?
Ideological sometimes. Sorry.
Oh yeah, no, that's a good way of saying it. That is exactly what it is. Yeah, a little demagogue. Ransom says, "What's your favorite vocation, ability, or weapon in Dragon's Dogma 2?"
Oh man, it's so hard to choose a favorite, man. Maybe I should just go with the two-handed, the warrior. Warrior and warrior probably. I mean, I love all of them. Have something there for me with a different play style. I think the archer is one of the best archer classes I've played in a game. But it might have to go to warrior just because I'm a warrior main always.
Right. What about you, Johnny?
For me, the magic archer was my favorite because at least the way I played it was kind of like auto attacking from a MOBA. So, you kind of like do an arrow, move a little bit.
Orb walk. Yeah, you orb walk.
Orb walk.
Yep.
Yeah, it's like, you attack move.
Yeah.
And then you have the special with, I won't say what it is. It's ridiculously strong.
Yeah. I saw Johnny just absolutely annihilate a dragon.
With that dragon? Oh, dude.
You picked the
amazing.
wrong bitch.
Yeah.
Johnny just shows up. He's like, bad place to land. What about you, Silver? What's your weapon, vocation, or even location? We can talk about it. Is there anything in Dragon's Dogma that stands out in those places for you?
Yeah, it's hard to pick one, but it would probably still be fighter for vocation, because of the sword and board, and then maybe the plunge skill, because when you get on top of an enemy and you use the skill where you plunge your sword into it, like if you plunge it into the weak point, that feels incredibly satisfying.
It feels good, doesn't it? Yeah.
I will say the fighter is the best sword and board gameplay I've played in a game, bar none.
Yeah, mine would be fighter as well. Yeah, fighter is, I'm a basic bitch. I have no problem admitting that. When I got the advanced stuff, I would go, okay, I'm going to play with it. And then I would always find myself missing something in fighter.
Yeah.
I think also launching somebody is a cool teammate mechanic. And there's a couple others, but they don't all have teammate. And I sort of I killed a lot of dudes on accident.
And I love the counters for fighters.
Yeah,
So
the counters
fun.
were fun, and there was just something about, maybe that's what Absy said is right. Maybe it's just the better of the sword and board in any game, so therefore I liked it. I don't know, but Fighter was, and this is going to sound really stupid, but I think it's because I got 2 upgrades, the sword and the board. That sounds really dumb, but if I just had a 2-handed sword, it's 1 weapon, and that's it. And there was something about being like, oh, I got it, I have a shield, and I can, and it looks a certain way, and then you can also upgrade the sword and the shield.
Or the mace,
Or the mace. Oh, right. I would say that Trickster is the one that did not turn out to be as cool as I thought.
Yeah,
I love
I
Trickster.
agree.
I love Trickster so. Oh wait, yeah, Trickster. Yeah. I thought you were talking about Thief. I like both of them.
No,
Yeah,
I'm talking about the
Thief is great.
Trickster. The Thief's fine. I like the Thief a lot, almost as much as the Fighter, but the Trickster, it does change the way combat plays, but I don't know if Dragon's Dogma has enough flexibility.
Yes,
to make
I think
that.
it needs more opportunity.
It does. Yeah,
That's
opportunity.
the thing.
shine,
right.
The
Yeah.
cool moves from Trickster happen so seldom, so uncommon that your bread and butter is pretty boring. You're buffing your team, you're smoking dudes all
Yeah.
day.
I
Dude,
don't know.
yeah.
I love the buffing team play style. Like I like being
Yeah,
support,
and
in
it's
games,
powerful.
And I loved summoning that dragon head to CC enemies while I with
Here's my
pawn.
biggest problem. The game is already a power fantasy no matter what class you get to at the end of the game. You're just annihilating people.
Yeah.
And then the Trickster, I'd be like, "Rah, rah," and my guys would just, they were destroying people, man.
Yeah,
I would get ready to cast a spell and I'd be like, oh, okay.
And
Well,
they're
those
gone.
guys are gone. And that's also because, I did give them good stuff. I mean, I made sure everybody, especially my main pawn, I was on top of everything for them. So what
I
were you
really
going
hope
to say?
with updates and expansions, they give you more opportunity with harder content and stuff to really flesh out some of those classes.
They
Yeah.
need Bitter Black Isle,
Yeah, they do.
100%.
They do.
or
Yeah, they
or
need,
like an Everfall, like that. Like the post game content, honestly, is probably my biggest disappointment with Dragon's Dogma 2.
you didn't even, no,
Unfortunately.
we can't talk about it. We'll talk about it in
No.
2 podcasts
Yeah.
from now. But I just because of some of the stuff that pops up. But I would say, especially if you're good at the game, even generically, which I think everybody will be, because if you got to that point, you're probably pretty good. And then it has this curve where you're just you're strong. And
Yeah.
I mean, if you buy a good pawn, like if you decide to buy,
I mean, by the time you hit
a
like
powered
level
up pawn,
50 in the game, you're pretty much cruising.
Yeah. That's definitely something that I think that they could adjust in the N Plus game that didn't really get adjusted as much as I would like. But yeah, it's a good question. Thank you very much. Next up, Dylan says, "How are you feeling about Kingdom Come Deliverance 2? The title. I'm surprised they didn't change it to."
I think it's because it's still Henry. Like
It's still
maybe
Henry.
if they do another
Yeah.
character, it's Kingdom Come something else. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't expect it to be titled anything else. I mean,
Me neither.
the first game did end on basically a cliffhanger that basically set it up for Kingdom Come 2. So
Yeah. I mean, they could have done a subtitle, but that's a long name. Kingdom Come Deliverance, the rise of the
Next.
Gears of Shadow of Warring. And you'd be like, all right, that isn't going to fit
That's
in
a
the YouTube.
Japanese game now at that point.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And then Jake says, I didn't know No Rest for the Wicked doesn't have a pause function. Yes, that's correct. Omni says, where does the Fallout show rank among other video game adaptations in any media? So we'll add books to that.
Oh,
Still one of the best.
I think it's my favorite. I mean, the only other video game adaptation that I really liked was Castlevania. But
Mhm.
when it comes to live action, I think Fallout is the best for me personally. It's the only one I actually really liked. I don't usually like live action adaptations, but I haven't seen The Last of Us. So
Oh,
that's
okay.
where I
Interesting.
am.
Honest Games guy who never lied says, you'll probably cover this, but what are some improvements you would like to see with Kingdom Come 2 after seeing the trailer and hearing about the scope? So true improvements, but less bugs, because Kingdom Come was somewhat buggy. I would like to see
somewhat.
heads not disappear when Silver was playing and everybody had no head in his village.
Fewer crashes.
Fewer crashes, yeah, all that kind of stuff. Let's see, what? I didn't mind the combat, so I'm just going to say if they want to smooth it up a little bit, great. I want it cumbersome because you're a dude in armor and it's a simulation game. And I'm fine overall with what I got. What else would there be?
Other than graphics,
I think they definitely need to rebalance it for the higher difficulties, though.
Yes.
It really stopped being fun in those because it would just be counter, everybody countering, and yourself countering all the time. Like with the master strikes, it would just be constant master strikes, and you couldn't do anything to avoid like master strikes. Really, that killed a lot of like the flow and momentum of the combat. That made it satisfying.
Yeah, early game had better combat than late game, in my opinion.
Yeah, we're seeing that in a lot of games. Even if they update stuff and make you, it seems like they're falling off on that part for whatever reason. Maybe quests. So I'm not saying Kingdom Come's quests are bad. They're not at all. But I think, no, that's not what I'm trying to say. I felt that a lot of Kingdom Come's quests were a little too generic, and what I'm hoping to see, because he's going to be a lord now or something to that effect, I want to see him really integrate that. I don't want Henry to go and get a pail of water. I don't want Henry to have to do so it's not even an improvement. I just hope they reflect that Henry, more politics and even or knights and jousting. Like, hey, you were dishonored, as Henry, you got to go out and maybe, occasionally.
You're not running errands for the miller anymore.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Yeah, just like, that's not even really an improvement. It's just I hope they reflect Henry as being, we worked through 60 hours of gameplay, reward us by saying, here's your next level of shit you're going to have to deal with as Henry. And you could still not screw, but you can still have some crazy shit going on as Henry. Funny-wise, like certain quests we all talk about. Z Trek says, how about getting some recipes for food from you and Abzy? Wednesday podcast made me hungry.
Dude, I'm saying every single time I talk to KARAK, I get hungry because we end up talking about
food.
We do talk about food a lot, which is funny because, we do. I don't know why. Food
cheese and steak.
Cheese and steak. That's
the recipe. Yeah.
Yeah, that is the recipe. If you want to, put a little salt, pepper, cheese, and steak. I will say I've tried a couple of Andy Lanique's. So Andy Lanique has 2 cookbooks, I think. Or does he just have one? But he's got video game based
for gamers, right?
I think he's got one themed for a game. I think he did one just for or maybe it's Final Fantasy. He gave me the one. I think I've got both, but the one I use primarily is just generic ones, and it's got all kinds of recipes, and they're really cool. They're like, playing with Final Fantasy stuff, playing with those kind of foods. And I've tried a couple of his that were really good. And he made me cook, which I hate him for, because I'm definitely the person who's, microwaving a piece of cheese on a piece of bread to eat it quick so I can go do something. I'm not a big cooker, but he's got some ones in there that are really not too hard, which I like. You can just it's just a little add-on to something that
That's
you might make.
That's one of the reasons
normally.
I love Italian cooking so much.
Why? Because it's just
so it's basic. It's basic and very easy for the most part. Yeah.
Yeah, versus like long-term stuff. Yeah, so I would say if you get a chance, check out Andy's cookbooks, because his are gamer-based and they're sort of fun, especially if you have family. See, my family members don't care about games. So if I'm like, I'm going to make you a Diablo cinnamon muffin, they'd be like, who the fuck is Diablo? Like, that isn't that hell? Like, what are we talking about? Is that a demon cinnamon? I'm like, oh, yeah.
Chupacabra.
Yeah, I'm gonna make some Final Fantasy tuna dish. Okay, I would never say that out loud, but you know what I mean. Something from Final Fantasy. What other food stuff have we talked about lately? I've been pretty generic in my grub. It's been very generic year.
Pop-Tarts, and we were talking about stuffing.
Pop-Tarts are done, my friend. Done.
Oh, really?
I haven't had Pop-Tarts. Yeah, I've had Pop-Tarts since that fucking power outage.
Did you have a bad experience?
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm done with Pop-Tarts. They're never entering my life again. Done.
All right.
Like,
cool.
I had them, and I remember sitting up late at night, encrusted with debris all over my face and beard. I looked like I was the Unabomber because I hadn't shaved. The power was out for shaving. And I remember looking at myself in the mirror in the dappled little light from the fucking sun coming in.
And I was questioning your life decisions.
Dude, by the 11th day, I was questioning everything. It really did psychologically. Oh, you know what else it did, though, which was really sad? It affected one of the dogs. I wasn't aware it would do that.
Oh.
But he's changed his mentality completely. 11 days without light, he's way different. And it changed while it was. I remember telling my wife, I'm like, is he starting to act like almost like in a weird skittish cave dog way. He's starting to act weird, and he never ever returned. He's a totally different dog now, and it's sort of depressing because I know that's what happened. Like, you could watch it, his action towards me even, and I think that's because I'm loud. It was dark. You know, they're seeing this like loud, dark, crazy man walking around the house, and loud sounds occasionally happening from like generators starting. I think unfortunately, it scarred him.
Damn.
Scarred me. Hey, caused me to stop eating Pop-Tarts. What else do we got? Let's look at
There was a thing.
Discord. Go for it.
Sorry, I didn't include this,
fine.
but there's this new game called Gray Zone Warfare, which is kind of think of it. What if Arma and Tarkov had a baby? That's what Gray Zone Warfare is. So it's like a big persistent world. There is like an extraction aspect to it, but it's all done real time in game, so you can move between your base and the actual environment where the enemies are and stuff, and do quests and come back. But it's more PvE focused than PvP. They're calling it PvEVP. So PvP is supposed to have be very, very rare, and the main focus of it is like infiltrating enemy bases and taking them down.
What's
and
it
stuff.
called?
And so it's called Gray Zone Warfare. The devs are
it's still in alpha, right?
It's an alpha, so now they're just doing a week of like alpha testing with a bunch of streamers and stuff, and dictating where they want to go move on from there. And it's looking pretty neat. Obviously, it's still in alpha. The UI is sucky.
It looks good. I'm looking at a trailer right
It
now.
looks very nice. It's UE5, and it's just everyone's so impressed with how good it looks and how well it runs. Apparently, it runs very, very well for like such a large map. Especially compared to Tarkov, which is running on Unity and runs like complete ass.
Or
if
Arma.
a map is bigger, or Arma.
Yeah.
But what I want to see from that is something like Arma, where they give players a lot of tools to make their own servers and have their own things going on, because that also would combat, cheaters and all that kind of stuff.
I'm looking at it. It definitely looks like Arma, but better graphics. I can't tell how the squad commands are, because Arma has a lot of AI you can command. But what I'm seeing here looks way better.
Like
there's no drawing. Sorry, go ahead.
3 major factions and squads of 4 in each faction and stuff like that.
Yeah, this looks really good. Damn, I didn't even know. Did you, Silver? Did you know Bohemia's released their, like, I guess you'd call it like Warzone copy too, or it's coming out here soon? There's a weird name for it. I was getting a bunch of PR emails from them. It's Bohemia's side game. Yeah. I'll check these out. They're a little hard to jump into, but that actually looks really good.
Yeah, it's not available for the public, but I'm sure you can request keys and stuff. But yeah, it's looking really good. People are liking it a lot. Obviously, a lot of the chats and stuff don't understand what a pre-alpha game is.
Oh yeah,
but for a pre-alpha game, it's looking fantastic. Great promise.
And who makes it?
It's new devs. I forgot. Wait, let me see. Gray Zone Warfare. They're new devs, and they're like big fans of. There's devs from Kingdom Come in there. There's devs from I think Dragon Age or something, and devs from Left 4 Dead, like random, like they're just, how there's been a lot of layoffs and stuff.
Yeah, there's been a lot of layoffs
and make new companies. So that's like a bunch of talents from all over the place. They had a interview. One of the streamers had an interview with the CEO, and he seems chill. He seems to get it, what players want and what he wants, because he's apparently like a Tarkov player, and so he was talking about like his plans and how to combat cheats. He's thinking of like machine learning, anti-cheat stuff, and talking about how he just wants to make a game where the tools are there, the world is there, and he wants players to kind of make their own story out of it, kind of like EVE Online and stuff like that. So it shows great promise. I hope it turns out good.
There's another game also in these list of like titles that are coming out. Soul Mask. It's a survival MMO, a little like Conan. But I've been seeing some talk about that. That looked pretty good too. There's a lot of these games coming out that I'm not even hearing about though, because I don't think I've heard anything about this Gray. Or about this, what's it called? Gray what?
Gray Zone Warfare,
Gray Zone, yeah. Man, there's a lot of them. Have a good weekend, bud. Oh, yeah, you too, Lawnman.
There's a lot coming now. In that community in general, like the Milsim community has been wanting new stuff.
Well, dude, I mean, I like Arma, but Arma's one of the better, more advanced milsims, but it doesn't matter what you have. Arma, even if you crank its graphics, it doesn't look current anymore, and it still runs like hammered dog shit.
I mean,
So
Reforger looks pretty good, I think.
Reforger looks pretty good, but I still have graphical issues in that all over the place, like shadows and stuff. It just feels like the tech is a 0.5 jump versus, well, like this one versus this one. If you look at this one looks like, oh, that's sort of what I was hoping Arma 4, if that ever came out. But Reforger does look better, yeah. Sam, $5 super chat. Fantastic Four. Happy Friday, dudes. You guys are my gyros. I don't know what that means.
We were talking about
You mean for
gyros
the aiming?
earlier,
Yeah.
I guess.
Isn't that also the spelling of the food? There's
Yeah,
like
I
a
guess.
food. Yeah.
The Greek.
Yeah, he might
Oh,
mean that. Could
yeah.
mean either one. He could mean he wants to eat us or just wants to hang and play games with shitty controls. One of the two. One of those two. Let's see. The next up, Knucklehead says, do you guys have an example of a game that made you anxious? Horror games may be the obvious answer. And if so, which one for you specifically? For me, though, some games that made me incredibly anxious without being intentionally scary were Control and Mirror's Edge. Control gave me a heavy sense
I
of
can see
impending
Control.
dread. Mirror's Edge, the original, had an early mission where you're being chased, and that's one of my biggest pet peeves. Oh, being chased.
Oh, being
Yeah,
chased, man.
Being
Yeah,
chased
same
is
here, same here.
being chased is definitely something that I'll start to go like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I got like even Metroid Prime, the new 2D one, Dread. There were some moments when those robots spot you or whatever, and they're
you're
following
running
you,
away from
and you get
on
like the
2D.
you know, you just want to leave. Tarkov it gives me a lot of anxiety. Yeah.
Yeah, straight up Tarkov. Let's see. What games make any for you guys, Silver,
I
Johnny?
had that with Alan Wake 2 because
Oh.
the camera was so close to the character
Mhm.
that your peripheral vision was 0.
Yeah.
So the times where
good
I was
point.
being chased and it was dark as hell, right? And I'm trying to like run along this path in the jungle or whatever, and I can't see the path because it's too dark. I'm getting chased. I'm now like getting stuck in a corner because I can't tell if it's a corner or if it's a path. And then of course, like I get caught and I definitely got pretty anxious.
That almost sounds like anxious should be replaced with the word frustrated or pissed as hell. Your description
Yeah.
degenerated to what sounds like. Would you
Well,
say
but
that it
Are,
went
are
into?
you bawling when you're anxious? Like,
Right.
That's a
But I mean,
negative
were you
kind of-
becoming frustrated? Because it sounds like
Yeah,
that's
as
actually
hell.
frustration.
Yeah, it
I get
was.
that. I definitely understand where that's coming from. What about you,
But
Silver?
I think it's
Oh, go
also a just to wrap that up, I think it might be also a visibility because I'm colorblind. So it might be that other people can see the trail perfectly
I get
and
what
I
you're saying.
couldn't. So therefore it was an extra.
Is your version of colorblind where, let's say, the trail's brown, you just see gray everywhere, or do you see what? Is there a game you
So-
can tell me I saw something and you didn't, kind of thing?
The easiest way I can describe it is sometimes purple and blue look like the same color, and sometimes lime green and yellow look like the same color.
Oh, damn! Those are indicators for enemies too. That would be rough on good
So-
guys. Yeah.
So sometimes some stuff blends together if they have a combination of those things. But yeah, it's not as clear cut as that, and some games just a
Right.
visibility aspect, you know.
Have you ever? Would it help you when you were playing? I don't know if it'll make the game look like shit for the other colors. Does contrast help you if you crank the contrast or you adjust the contrast up so a certain color moves into a more noticeable color? But I guess it would ruin the good colors you can see, right? It would probably ruin those.
Yeah, that could help probably. I've had only a very small amount of games where I had an issue.
Oh, really?
That's also the thing.
Yeah.
So-
But unfortunately, it was in a horror game where you're being
It
chased.
was in a horror. Yeah, just getting
Yeah,
chased.
yeah.
So there
Possibly the worst or possibly the worst situation. You know, it wasn't like you were playing Afterburner. What about you, Silver? Is there any games that like work on your anxious
Yeah, a
buttons?
lot. But I think maybe let's go back 20 years in time, since we've talked a lot about like Arma and stuff, to Operation Flashpoint. There was a mission in that game where you got to fly like an A-10 aircraft. And after playing as like an infantryman on the ground, it was an incredible power fantasy to like blow up tanks from the air effortlessly. And then at the end of that mission, you get shot down. And the pilot you're playing gets captured by the Soviets, and then you have to escape from a Soviet camp. And you escape like very late in the evening. It's going towards sunset. You have no compass. You don't know where you are. And like you do have a map of the island, but you have no idea where where the Soviet base is on that island. And it's getting like night is falling. It's becoming really, really dark. You don't have a compass, so you don't know really whether you're heading north or whatever direction you're heading. You do have the night sky above you, if you can tell constellations. But that's all you got. And then maybe you can find landmarks, hope to find landmarks, or like find like a city, like a sign of a city that marks a city, so you know, oh, that city's here. So that's actually where I am, and I need to go this way. I need to follow this road or whatever. And all the while, there are like Soviet patrols and Soviet enemies moving around. That was something like, and you're trying to get to like a meeting point so you can escape back to your American lines. That mission was incredibly anxious, and it was also an incredibly like inversion of the power fantasy you had just had. Flying the A-10 aircraft, and then all of a sudden you're left without weapons or anything, having to make your way back to American lines.
Operation? I think it was Arma 2 that I'm talking about. It might have been Operation Flashpoint, because those sort of merged together. But there's a mission where you start out in the little manned sub as Navy SEALs, and it's nighttime. You come up on the beach, and then you have to go kill somebody. And it could have also been a made-for map by somebody. But I remember when I was playing that game, and you've got your, green doesn't work very well. Sure, it allows you to see at night, but you talk to anybody who uses night vision, they're like, dude, that shit's like, it's 2D. It's not 3D anymore. It's a screen in front of your face. All this stuff. And I remember being really tense in that. And I was playing with a friend and just being like, oh my God, especially because that game's enemy detection is a little superhuman sometimes, and then other times, like any game, it doesn't, and trying to worry about, some armored vehicle driving by and the sound of it and being covered and just, consistently worried, because that game's risk versus reward is, it's all, if you get shot, it's one shot, one kill, or, well, it's not that, but what I mean.
Also
it's
like
high risk.
The first Arma is the first game that I can remember playing that actually had pitch black darkness at night.
Yep, they did a good job.
You could not see anything outside of the light, which made night vision so invaluable for like combat. Although if you did stay out in the dark for long enough, you did sort of start to be able to like make out shapes, and like your vision would kind of adjust to where you could see some stuff. But yeah, you were effectively blind at night.
For mine, it was probably Thief 3 Crucible level. I think that was... I like games that, like you said, where it switches from being in an A10...
You mean the Cradle?
Cradle, sorry. You're in your A10, and then you lose all the power you just had, and now you're a man on the ground. And I think with that game, I always felt in control, and then you go into that level, and you're like, what is happening right now? Like, this is weird. And then it just got creepier and creepier. And I don't get, like, scared in those games, but the anxiousness... And the mystery of it all was such a switch from what I was expecting that would definitely be like one of my all-time favorites. Did you hear the question, Abzi? Which was what game? Did you hear the question about is there a level or a game or like a level or experience that made you anxious? Like true, or did you already give an answer?
Before I said Tarkov. I've had it happen with Hellblade, because I was like already in an anxious state when that game dropped. Thankfully not anymore, so I want to play it before the second. Welcome to the Game 2. I had a lot of anxious moments, and also like being followed. Welcome to the Game 2 is like a horror game, but it's mostly about you're trying to surf the web to find codes to...
I watched you stream that.
Made that
Did I not?
video.
Did I? You were streaming that.
Yeah. That was like by far my most successful game to stream. Because I apparently had like a good community.
Yeah, I still believe our idea yesterday for a survival / mechanic for eating food in Fallout, it should be done by mod, which is where we were talking about I don't know if you were in there, but we were talking about if you eat, then it does what Hellblade does, and like if you eat tainted food, you start hearing things, you start going nuts. And we were talking about imagine having like binaural audio that's just slowly creeping up. The more you can eat the food, you get the bonuses, but the toxins build up audibly. Because in a lot of games, whenever a toxin happens, it's usually the screen turning fucking yellow with a
it'd
vignette.
be really cool if it was audible.
But imagine it, and it's like, you are terrible. or whatever. And you're like, wait, what? Who's talking? I
Like
think
a
it's
first
because
person Disco Elysium. Where,
yes,
like, your innards
but
talk
we
to
were
you.
talking about Hellblade. We were like, Hellblade handles that anxiousness so much, and people who get poisoned do hallucinate a lot of times, but you don't see that in a lot of games. It's like a movie where a guy's poisoned, he drinks a poison at the last second, and his liver's fine. Fuck you. Your liver would look like a cheese grater for the rest of your life. It doesn't just get magically better. So when you were playing the survival mod for Fallout, I was like, man, imagine what you could do. I wish I knew how to mod Fallouts, because they're far. I don't want to jump back in, but that would be a mod I would do. Is like a slowly going nuts kind of mod, or seeing the ghouls. What if there was there probably is this, but a horror mod for Fallout where you continue to see ghouls at night or what have you. You can get a perk, or not a perk, a penalty. Because I don't know if you guys remember, they tried in because in Outer Worlds, do you guys remember they had negatives in Outer World, and you could ignore them, which I found weird. It's like, do you want to accept this horrible negative? You're like, no. Like, I usually said no. I was like, I like the idea, but force it on me. Don't give me the the ease of it all. Good question, Knucklehead. Spetsu says, do you guys have a game that you love even though you're really bad at it? Is anybody going to admit we're bad at a game? Oh, because you wouldn't play it continually.
No, not that. Like, even if I start bad at a game, love is a strong, like a game. Maybe I like Rocket League, but I'm terrible at it, and I never. But if I love something, I will make a concerted effort to practice and play and get better and get better.
That makes sense.
I can't think of a game I love that I'm bad at.
Yeah, a game that love is a pretty strong word, because I don't even love a lot of games. I'm trying to think of one that I would stick with if I was bad at.
It's also good.
Okay.
Good.
Go
for it.
Can I add something? I do. What if we change this to, what's a game that you wish you were good at? Like wish, because you know it's good, but
without
the time it takes to get good at, right?
Yeah,
right?
or it's just a skill set that maybe you don't have. Could be a puzzle game. Some puzzle games I'll play, and they'll be like, this is level 2, and I'm like, fuck you, that's level 22. Like, I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, either one. Go ahead, Johnny. What was your answer going to be?
Well, I was going to say, like, for example, Monster Hunter World is a game where the skill ceiling is so high that even though I put in many hours, like 300 hours, I would still say I'm not like good at greatsword.
Okay.
Like I can play fine. I can beat any enemy in the game, but good goes so high in that game.
Yeah.
Like the people who are good, they can like never get hit, right? They are able to disjoint every enemy attack.
Oh, damn. Okay, I see what you're saying.
They can like script the fight so that they control exactly what happens.
Okay. Yeah.
So that's why I wouldn't say I'm good. That's my only thing is like, okay, what's it mean to be good, You beat what's in the game for sure, but there are some games where like the skill ceiling is so crazy high.
I have the exact same thing as you, but with Devil May Cry 5, where I'm good, I'm not bad, but the shit people can pull off, the skill
there's so
ceiling
much finesse. Yeah,
those
for
timings
sure.
and oh man, 100%.
Dude, it's like Dark Souls for me. I can beat a Dark Souls. But then I see somebody with an SOS controller beat Dark Souls, and I'm like, fuck you, man.
Or like hit, this
stuff. Yeah, I'm definitely not a no-hit guy. In fact, I'll make a build that's almost hit, where I'll be like, I can soak up some hits because I can't do a no-hit. Go ahead, Silver. I don't want to talk over you. What were you saying?
I've been playing Punch-Out for over 30 years, and I still haven't beaten it.
Oh, yeah, that's a good. Well, I mean, that's a rough game at times. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the old one. That shit was rough, too. Yeah. The one that's known for being like redonk. Go ahead, Silver.
It definitely is a game where I love actually playing it and the challenge of it, but I don't have the skill set to get through a lot of the like tougher enemies in the game. But I still enjoy playing that game quite regularly. Just because like running that boss gauntlet is just a lot of fun for like the engagement of hitting the timing and whatnot. In a way that actually feels somewhat similar to Tetris. And Tetris is it's actually another game where I'm not actually elite at it, I would say. Even if, with all the time I've invested in it, I'm definitely not an elite Tetris player.
Yeah, no, I get that thought. It's funny you mentioned. So I don't think I've ever beat Punch Out. But what happens is I'll get good, and then there'll be an enemy that just defeats me, handedly. And that happens in some fighting games until I'll get through the first 4, and then there's like that 5th character that you're just like, what is happening here? Why is nothing I'm doing working? And I think with Punch Out, I do get where you're coming from. Like, I don't think I've ever beat Punch Out, but I can do well against some of them, and then there's usually some jackass redhead in there, some ginger kicking my ass, and I'm like, I'm done. But it is fun to play those kind of games. I'm trying to think of a game that I don't know if I would ever play a game for too long. Oh, yeah, Rocket League. I don't want to be good at it.
That's one.
I don't want to be good at it. But I see people good at it, and I'm like, oh, okay. I get you. Yeah, we have some... go ahead.
Oh, yeah, no, I was just saying with Rocket League, specifically, like my friend was teaching me a lot of stuff in like the practice mode or whatever, and you get a taste of what it feels like to be good when you pull off that one shot in the air and stuff, but then you can never be consistent at it. And it's like, if only I could just do that consistently. Yeah.
Yeah, we have somebody in our Discord. I can't remember who it was. It wasn't, Moodski's good. It might have been Omar or Moodski. I was watching those two team up one time, and they were pulling off a couple moves that I could tell were skilled. Were they high skilled? Probably not in Rocket League, because Rocket League's ridiculous skill ceiling. But I saw a couple things happen where they weren't talking it through; they were just doing it. I was like, "Oh, damn! I see."
That game,
little things were, and it looks so dumb. It doesn't look good. It looks, it looks like who would have, dude? It's ridiculous because they've tried to repeat it multiple. Sony had that one game where you could get out of the cars that came out a couple years ago.
Yeah.
Everybody
those
tries.
Mechanics are airtight. Those
and I even found out from those guys, there's only certain cars that like people like because their hitbox is a certain thing, and I'm like, I get what you're saying because of the roof size or what have you.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, but I was watching them, and they pulled off some move together, and I think it was only them. I realized they were both playing the same game. I think I was just watching them separately. Didn't even know that because they weren't talking. They were playing. They weren't, and they can engage and talk and still do well. But when I heard one of them say good, maybe not good job, or almost, and I realized the other person's screen was reflecting what he was talking about. I was like, you guys are fucking playing at the same time? And they're like, no skill, no talking needed, because I need a lot of, if I'm in a shooter, I'll be like, I'm going here.
Right.
When I play Rocket League with my friend, it's just like, I go, you go.
Oh, okay, I have to say, because otherwise or have you ever got that thing when it's like, you go, I go, you go, and you both are like, almost like when two people are trying to talk, and you're like, one of us needs to fucking go, that's awesome. That's awesome. Good question, Spetsu. Thank you very much. MK Bandit says, have you played Hades 2 playtest? Anybody done Hades 2?
No.
Nope.
Let's see. Silver we talked about Kingdom Come. Is there anything else you want to talk about for Warhammer 3 Thrones of Decay? The expansion.
I mean, it's looking really exciting, honestly. And there's a lot of positivity for once, actually, about it in the Total War community.
Finally, only been 10 years.
Because along with like the new expansion content, they're also launching a major free update that's going to revamp a lot of existing mechanics in the game. So especially like the Empire, which is the most popular faction in the game, is getting a major overhaul with new campaign mechanics and stuff that look really, really good. The Dwarves as well, which is one of my favorite factions, getting a major overhaul. It just looks really, really good. I mean, it's got me back excited for Warhammer 3 again. And it is nice to see positivity back in the community with people getting excited about it. So hopefully they deliver on it when it's out on April 30th.
Are people happy about rejiggering entire mechanics? Is that seen as a positive?
That yes, because as new factions and new mechanics get introduced, the older ones from the very first game kind of get left behind. So they need to be charged on as again to sort of bring them up to snuff and on par with the newer mechanics, the newer factions and stuff. They also get like new lords, new heroes, and new units and stuff. The dwarves have gotten a large airship with cannons. The Empire has gotten a land ship with cannons and a new steam tank and stuff like that. it looks really, really fun to play around with. Also, some of the new lords like Elspeth and her Imperial Gunnery School, where she can play around with the Empire's artillery and gunpowder units, looks really fun as well. So yeah, we're looking forward to playing around with it.
And when's it come out?
April 30th.
April 30th. Okay. Just talking about some of the games that people like but are not good at. Some people said sports games. I saw racing games. I would agree. I'm not great at F1. I know Silver is, but I can't really grasp F1. Maybe it's too many corners. Maybe I'm too redneck for that. Maybe left turns are good. I can do rally. I don't know. I can't do F1, so that would be another one. Kulabon says, in a game, if you're hungry in a game or don't sleep for long enough, you can hear voices telling you to eat random things. Maybe random objects would transform into edibles because of their hallucinations.
The dark urge of food.
Yeah. The third turd says, I always wanted to be better at Marvel versus Capcom 2 and 3. The pro-level combos in the game look insanely cool. Yeah, any 2D fighter that you see somebody, maybe not even esports, because sometimes they have specific moves that aren't the coolest looking, but they work. But yeah, you'll see a good player in one of those, and you'll be like, oh, that's what it looks like. I see. Doom Reaper says, perfect score on Dragon's Lair. Dragon's Lair gave me nightmares, man. That game was hard.
Ghosts and
Ghouls
goblins.
Ghosts and Goblins, yeah. Ghouls and Ghosts.
Yeah, that one was
Ghouls and Ghosts.
That one was made to eat your arcade coins.
You bet it was. Fatal Frame 1 in particular made me exceptionally tense. Oh, the exceptionally tense question, yeah. Joel brings up, what is it? FC24. That's soccer, but what's it stand for? Fantasy? No, what's it stand for? Football Championship? Football Club. 24 in Rocket League. Ref says, reminds me of the one guy who beat Dark Souls with a Guitar Hero controller. Nagel says, the underwater level stuck in my mind from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Yeah, that game. Yeah. Everybody's bringing that one up. Damn. Everybody's bringing up that underwater level. Shrek says, zombies ate my neighbors. I've only ever gotten to like level 8, and there's 30. Oregon Fresh brings up Lion King. Yeah. Lion King and Prince. What is it called? The other one,
Aladdin,
Prince Ali.
or Hercules.
Yes. Aladdin.
All of them, man.
Fuck, those Disney games were hard, man. Dude, I don't know what
Really?
they thought they were doing.
One, dude.
Yeah.
The Toy Story one.
Yeah. Go ahead, Silver. What were you saying?
Were
saying?
they hard?
Yes.
I
Dude,
thought
they're
so.
considered hard. They are legit considered hard. Especially Lion King, I don't remember being as hard, but
the platforming, dude.
Aladdin in particular was pretty rough. Because I've told this story before.
Aladdin I didn't really play.
I had a coworker who stopped playing games because she loved Aladdin so much and got it and was like, this is a Disney game? And was just lost her shit. Fortnite, that's a good one. I've seen people good at Fortnite that make me feel stupid. Woodpit says Willow for Nintendo was hard. I do remember playing Willow. I don't remember the difficulty on that one. Rocket League, Fortnite, Rocket League, Fortnite. If you guys like Punch-Out, try Thunder Ray. It's very Punch-like. Punch-Out-like. Thunder Ray. Yeah, I haven't heard about that one. Moltov, what's up? Hey, Karak. What's up with you, Michelle? Sector right above that says, can I get linked to your guys' channels? Johnny, can you throw your link in there? Nobody else does channels right now. Shrek, Trackmania. Oh, yeah, Trackmania. Have you guys watched the YouTube shorts that'll pop up where they'll put like a discussion and then they'll have somebody in the background doing Trackmania?
In the background?
Yeah, and you're like, they're doing flips and they're perfectly running something. And my brain is going like, I don't even know what's happening right now.
That game is like basically trial and error until you find the most optimized way of doing a level,
Star Wars SNES games were ridiculous. I do remember...
I don't remember them being that hard, though.
I remember playing Return, but I don't remember if they were. I mean, I'm not saying they weren't
like
hard.
A New
I'm just
Hope,
saying.
Empire, and I don't think I played Return of the Jedi. Though.
Oh, you know what? I wish I was super good at Super Mario 64 speedrunning. Holy shit, those people are crazy, dude. The way they move Mario, I can never like you play Mario 64 and you feel. You don't move him the same way these pros do. Like, holy shit.
No, it's ridiculous.
The skill ceiling for that is insane, dude.
Yeah. And that, speaking of trial and error.
But Ninja Gaiden, though, like the original one for NES.
The original one was pretty rough,
Never beat that one either.
Black Belt on the Sega Genesis was really hard. And I remember there's an enemy called Onai, just named after the demon in Japanese lore. But this dude only counter-struck. So what you had to do was he would never attack. He would only counter-strike. You'd have to follow him twice till he got against the wall. And right when he switched and went this way, You had to punch him so that his punch would go backwards. And it was ridiculous. I mean, I think I was crying as a small child playing that game just because I would always get to him going like, what in the shit? And of course I did call Steve at Sega Helpline. How do you defeat him? And he's like, that guy sucks. He only counter-struck. He never attacked.
Nier Automata. You need a hard game to make you cry.
Nier Automata to me was child. Dude, Black Belt was like, yeah. Go ahead. And Strider. I've always bitched about Strider. Paperboy. Strider upside down level was like fuck every developer in the world, man.
Not only in Paperboy did you have to run the gauntlet of like throwing every paper accurately in somebody's mailbox.
You had to watch out for hazards and shit.
Then and when you finally got off the street, you had the gauntlet at the very end of like the obstacle course you had to go through.
Oh my God, yeah, it was a bicycle course. Well, I forgot about that. Maybe I never got to it very often. Maybe that's why I don't remember. Does anybody remember Maximo from PS2, the Ghouls and Goblins sequel? I do remember. I thought it was not good.
Damn.
I thought it was not good. Yeah, it's named after the knight, right? Because isn't his name that?
Yeah. Yes.
Oh yeah.
Because Sirius says, and this is, by the way, a binding question. It's going to slow the podcast down because it's quite depressive and super detailed. We need to answer this. Because Sirius says, thoughts on Henry's new haircut in Kingdom Come 2?
Oh,
Henry looks more jacked. He looks
more jacked. I don't notice the haircut, to be honest. I didn't notice the haircut. Yeah. Lucitan brings up a really good one here. He says, the rise of EA instead of Kickstarter games. I, for once, prefer EA because I can jump in the game and play when I feel like it, and me as a player can see actual evolution of the game instead of hoping Kickstarter goals are delivered. You guys seem pretty adamant that EA games are a no-go as your personal choice. My question is, why back Kickstarters is okay, but EA is not? They're not. I agree with him. Kickstarters are I haven't kickstarted a game, and I've kickstarted one board game. It luckily hit, but I think I told you guys I accidentally clicked on failed. In your Kickstarter profile, you can click on ones that haven't hit their whatever, and I have a couple on there, and I'm like, never again. And Kickstarter is, Kickstarter sometimes will release executables, though. I have seen that, where a company will be like, on Kickstarter, they'll give you a zip drive with the game in it, but I agree. No, I don't even think they're really the same thing anymore.
Like a closed beta or alpha or whatever. Yeah.
I don't feel like, what were you saying, Abzi? Sorry?
I was just saying our complaints about early access. I don't think was that Kickstarter is better.
No, definitely not.
I think we were like, it's a necessary evil type thing where it does actually. We've seen it help a lot of games. We're just kind of burnt out on a lot of it, because we've purchased a lot of early access games and got burnt out before 1.0. So I just don't do anymore because I do not want to be burnt out. In the games, like before it actually releases, but I think it's a good net positive.
I'm largely okay with early access, but it does depend. Like I do have a major burnout for survival early access game. Just because 100%. Like that, like
it became a genre.
Like 4 or 5 years ago, that like there was just a deluge of them, and where there was just so much burnout that I still haven't recovered from that burnout.
Don't mention it. Don't say the game. If these, I'm hoping you guys. I don't want to hear you guys try to tell me the Raft is a good game. These guys tried to sell me on the Raft that time.
Shut up! Full access.
Stranded Deep and stuff.
Stranded Deep, dude. All those survival games. The Raft. Okay, the Raft did come out, but the Forest. Forest 2, luckily, seems to have been good. Right? The Forest 2 was good.
I haven't launched it yet. I bought it, but
dude, EA survival games are their own genre now. It is like it's not even survival games. It's just this is we're gonna see if somebody spends money on this, and then we'll. The Raft is bad. Moving on. Pretty much all that. Alameen says I can't remember which one, but for a couple boss fights that took a while, I took. Oh, he's talking about anxiety. He says pretty much the Dark Souls games. I can't remember which one, but for a couple boss fights, I took propanol, which a beta blocker. A beta blocker to cause him to not shake as much. I get a thumb tremor sometimes in a really stressful time, and I was doing Bloodborne, and I was doing Forgotten Lords, the first one. Lords of the Forgotten, the first one. And there was a hard fight, and I went around a corner, and I looked at my footage later, and you could see the footage going,
Tremor, yeah.
Yeah, because
for
I
me,
went around
got,
a
like,
corner
the
and there was a
back
little
pains.
tremor because I was so stressed. What were you saying?
Yeah, I got lower back pains. Like in Tarkov, if I find like a really good gun or like something
Oh.
valuable, and there's like 2 people there and shit, I start getting my back
Or
starts
have you
hurting
played
me.
for so long that you find your shoulder muscles or something are tense because like you're hunched
Yeah.
over, and then the next day you're like, what the fuck did I
Yeah.
tweak my neck? And you realize, nope, you were just. Yeah.
Gamer.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's funny about that. I saw a picture Gene posted on Twitter where like the guy is leaning forward in the chair, and it says like this has been proven to work or something.
Game
Oh, yeah, by
Imposter.
leaning forward and
It's like
looking
one-
closer.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
when you're
yeah.
trying
Yeah.
for a boss and you're like leaning
Dude.
forward, like focused.
Have you guys ever played at like especially console games, but you play a console game and when you're really stressed you find yourself like I've found myself leaning to the left when I go around a corner to the left, and I'll
Yes,
be all
100% all the time, and I go like this or like
yeah.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
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 you're
yeah.
like somehow the
Like this,
monitor
like-
knows you're moving, but
Or,
you're
or
like,
yeah.
oh
as
yeah.
if the gyro is on.
Yeah,
or
with the
something.
racing. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, racing games I definitely have caught myself. Well,
Yeah.
I use the steering wheel some, but even when I'm not, I've caught myself doing the lean to each side to sort of, and sometimes I curve my head because it matches the horizontal now in the car. Like if the car's leaning, sometimes I'll try to match the horizontal so everything looks right, even though, it makes no sense. What were you going to
Yeah.
say, Silver? Were you going to say
I
something?
used to in my foolish youth, I used to do the like the ultimate challenge runs of games like Resident Evil and Metal Gear Solid to get the best ranks at the end of the game, where it basically required you kind of to finish the game in one sitting, generally without saving.
Oh.
And that could make those games quite anxious toward the end. Particularly, I remember Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater, where there's like a section towards the very end where your Eva has been wounded and you have to carry her while you're being searched for in the woods by patrols, and that being really, really iffy, getting through there undetected with her.
Yeah.
Like that being very, very anxious there because the entire run basically came down to that single moment.
That
at
single
point.
moment. And
Yeah.
Dude, that's why when I see
Good.
sorry, go ahead.
no, what were you saying?
When I see speedrunners, when you invest so much time into something and things are going really well, or you're on world record pace, like even
Yeah.
me when I was I used to do piano recitals, and I'm like, I'm playing the song perfectly, but towards the end I'm like, oh shit, everything was perfect
Yep.
until this point. If I fuck up, it's a fuck up. And
Gonna fuck it up, gonna
would
fuck it
get me
up.
super- Yeah,
When-
yeah. That
When
would
you're
get me so
learning
sad.
martial arts, there's a lot of times where like you'll, especially classical, you'll learn a kata, and there's almost always a move that your body style isn't good at. There's a twist or something. There's something
Yeah,
there
yeah,
that you're,
yeah.
and my brain will have everything on auto, but it is concentrated on that. And as you get closer, my anxiety would go,
Yeah.
like it would go to 1,000,000,000% where everything was fine. And then I remember, and piano, I'm not great at it, but there's a couple songs I know how to play, and there's particular parts where my brain is ignoring what I'm doing. And it's like, you're getting close, dude. You're getting close. Guess what's
Yeah,
coming
yeah,
up?
yeah.
And you're like, yeah, that's rough.
I
That's
remember
rough.
those karate sequences we had to do, and they were like long-winded. And you get
Yeah.
to the end, you're like, "Oh shit, I didn't fuck up."
And they,
let's not
yeah,
fuck up
well, then, or you get the thing where because you're no longer tight and like focused on stuff, you'll mess up the easiest move possible.
yeah.
And we do have, luckily, most black belt tests, you have some fails you can do, but there'll be times where, yeah, something will mess up, and you're like, dude, seriously, you messed up something
Yeah.
that like is the But humans, I mean, that how you deal with stress is a huge deal anyway. So, somebody was, we were talking about games that were hard, and I wanted to bring up, Le Mans on the Dreamcast, I believe it was Dreamcast, had a 24-hour race, or at least
Oh,
an
man.
extended hour race. And I remember doing those. And when you got near the end, it had nothing to do with the track anymore. You knew the track. It had to do with that you knew you were at the end. And I would see my friends' faces red from blood pressure. Like, and we're talking
Oh,
18-year-olds, but they would be
Yeah.
sweating. And I remember getting up from the chair, and your back is, I mean, and
Yeah.
it doesn't matter at the time. You could have a old lawn chair with slats in the back. It didn't matter. Your body was like, this is war. Like, I mean, like something's happening right now that's causing me to freak out. And yeah, those times are fun though. Dog being
Yeah.
in it, call him Two Dog. Like we were joking. Like whatever you want to do, put him in there.
Yeah.
That would
Yeah.
be, that would be cool. Yeah,
I
any
think like
radio station.
technology wise will be interesting
Yes.
because
Yeah.
there's some developments there with the technology itself.
Yeah. I want to see
I
what the
kind of want to see
Conclave is up to.
where that
Yeah.
goes. Yeah.
Yep,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
groups themselves, what they're up to. I would like to see them do a callback, so they can do locations easily. But like 3-Dog or characters we've seen, there's some
Yeah.
stuff that that would be fun.
Was the dog in the show like the same from your companion? Because like
I mean, dog meat.
yeah,
Yeah, it's
no,
not the same,
no.
but
he
just
calls
a dog.
him
Reference.
dog meat, but that's
It's a
just,
reference, yeah.
it's a reference. Yeah,
It's a
Okay,
reference
yeah.
to Dog Meat.
He's a different dog. It's
I was
CO.
overthinking it. Like, hold on a second.
Yeah,
And
no,
there's
no.
something that happens I cannot spoil. It's a small thing, but it involves somebody saying something about the dog, and I was like, oh, what a dick. There's some cool stuff they did. Like, there's some cool stuff that the dog has in the game in the show that I thought they
Great
did a good
casting
job
for
with
the
that.
dog. Great
Yeah,
casting.
What-
great dog.
You mean
No,
you mean
seriously.
Fido? Oh, you mean
The dog
just the
looks like a
dog
Fallout
did?
dog.
Yes, he does. I
Yeah.
thought you meant like
Yeah.
you knew the name of the stunt dog or something like that. I was like,
The good dog.
yeah. No, that they did. They got it. I mean, it looks just like what you would expect.
Dog meat.
That yeah. Was dog meat, right? Yeah. Yeah, no, they did it. And they also didn't make it all about the dog. You know how some movie like I Am Legend?
Yeah.
It's about Will Smith, but it's really a lot of it's
Yeah.
about the dog. This one's just like dogs, one of the other people, or one of the other, not people, but one of the other,
It was probably my
NPCs in the game.
favorite companion in
Yeah.
Fallout 4.
Yeah, of
Oh,
course.
yeah.
That
Of
I
course,
absolutely loved.
Yep.
I mean,
100%.
admittedly, I do the Far Cry games, and when they started adding animals, like the dog's usually always in a group. Like I always
Yeah,
have to have.
It's so
dog.
good.
It's a good feeling as well because I like being alone. I like to be alone. but
Absolutely. Yeah,
a dog is
yeah,
like
exactly.
the perfect,
See,
companion
that's
for
so
that.
interesting because there's a lot of them are post-apocalyptic or dire. I like a person being with me.
You like people there?
I
yeah.
do.
I
like the
Boone
dog.
a lot from New
But
Vegas.
I would choose the
loved
dog
Boone.
above anybody for sure.
Yeah.
But what you like
Boone
too?
was awesome.
Boone
Boone from New Vegas, like he was a great
Sniper.
Sniper. Okay, I do remember. In
The guy who had to shoot his wife when she was crucified by the Legion.
Yeah, that guy
Oh,
had an
to kill her?
insane story. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
damn,
And,
I
I love the
barely
super
remember
mutant
that.
from 3.
that's who I was going to bring up. I did like
Yeah.
Super Mutant for 3. That was awesome. We'll have to see how. Oh, that is some stuff I want to see in the show. There's certain creatures and stuff, obviously, that we
yeah.
haven't seen that I would like
Yeah.
to see in season 2. I mean,
Yeah.
I just hope they don't go crazy in that way and they do their own thing. I do want to see those call-outs, but they've done great on their own. Just fucking continue doing that and, sell the fans on some stuff, but do your own shit because your own shit's working. I like this character. I actually found that character. Okay, can I say one thing, though? I don't think this is a spoiler at all. And I'm wrong. And this just shows my old-fashionedness, I guess. But their dealing of sex in the first couple episodes and the talking about it, there was something about it that I was like, I don't know. It was weird.
There was a
Maybe that's
certain
just-
section that was weird, but
It was like overtly
made
like,
some
look
sense
how
with
edgy we are. It
context.
does make sense in the context. That's why I almost didn't
Yeah.
bring it up. But it was just sort of like, okay, that's, I don't know.
Yeah, there was a weird scene. I'll say that. There was
Yeah.
a really weird scene. Yeah.
I think they are.
Yeah.
It's fair to say they are all pretty weird about sex.
Okay,
whether,
yeah, that is true. Yeah.
Regardless of like their faction or what, you kind of see that
Mm.
that's a weird
Yeah, and
thing.
so,
That
stuff
is
makes
true.
sense from the Brotherhood as well because they're basically like priests,
Yeah, that is true.
Right.
I hadn't thought about that. Let's see. Yeah, Fallout type post-apocalyptic games make me very lonely. Yeah. I mean, there's a lonely feel to them. Even in Fallout 5, which was pre an apocalypse, you were by yourself and everything was so weird and Faith kept giving you drugs. And so having a person around, and Herc, the comedic help always works out for me.
Yeah.
Let's see. What else do we got to talk about? What time are we at?
The new archetype or class in Remnant 2 was revealed.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, what is it?
It's called
Invoker?
Invoker.
It looks awesome.
What do
Yes.
you invoke?
Oh, it looks like a lot of elemental effects, right? Because they were bringing water into the level and like
Cool.
Yeah. So it's kind of like you can channel some
Elements,
of the
maybe?
elements powers from the Yesha, which is the foresty area.
Yeah.
And like one of the main attacks was you cast a big wave that goes through your allies and enemies.
Yeah,
It buffs your allies, slows your enemies, and
I
damages them.
those.
yeah.
There's
Very cool.
lightning that like periodically hits your enemies.
Nice.
There's a bunch of stuff
Can you
like
combine
that.
the water with lightning?
No, it doesn't
Yeah.
have Baldur's Gate. No, you can't
No,
cause smoke or
it's-
anything by putting them together like
no,
Baldur's
not like
Gate.
that.
Right.
No,
Yeah, extra
no.
damage if you have water.
They
if
did
someone's
say
wet.
they become drenched, so
Oh,
I kind of
status
assumed.
effect. Yeah.
I kind of assumed that would, buff
Probably
the
if there's a
electricity
drenched trait, yeah, if there's a drenched state, I would assume that
because
electricity would do more damage. to them.
drenched means slowed, but I also assumed it would be like damage. So
I just
We'll
wanted to
see,
point
though.
out that I don't want anybody to get the opinion it's like Baldur's Gate where fire and water make steam and
yeah,
now
that's
you
hyper interactive
Yeah.
type
If
stuff.
they did
Yeah.
though, would I be for it? Fucking absolutely.
Sure,
Imagine
go
putting
for
water
it.
on the ground and a guy uses a flamethrower, you cause steam,
Yeah.
enemies lose
Team
accuracy.
synergies.
Shit. Yeah, that would
Yeah.
be incredible. I go for those guys take some risks, so go
Mhm.
for it. That game
Yeah.
is good.
Yeah.
Doom says Remnant 2 is peak action adventure goodness. It's ridiculously good. Like
Yeah,
They improved.
Amazing
Speaking of
sense of
somebody who improved,
discovery.
yeah, everything.
Do
Halo
you
2
think so? Because I tended to prefer the first one.
God, no.
Over Eternal.
Interesting.
Wait, over what?
Doom Eternal. Or
No, we're talking about
Oh,
we're talking about Remnant.
Remnant 2. Yeah, I
1
I
and
Oh,
2,
right.
the shooters. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
you're
like Doom
okay.
1 more.
No, I
let's
thought
talk
you
about-
said Doom. That's why
I apologize. I agree
Sorry,
with
no.
you. I like Doom 2016 more than
Same.
Eternal.
yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Even though I like Eternal.
with
but-
Eternal, yeah, with Eternal also it has a cool thing when you have all the mechanics and you get good with them and there's like a song and dance with like
Yeah.
all your cooldowns and stuff is really, really fun. But I don't know, man, Doom 1 had this, maybe it was more concise and there wasn't as much platforming and it was, I don't know, I just enjoyed 1 more.
Do you know what I
can't
noticed
really
with
put a finger why.
Doom Eternal, I don't know if this is what Silver's talking about. One thing with Doom Eternal I didn't like was there were places that looked like you could only go there or do it via the grapple. And there were like floating areas that were like the only way to defeat these guys is to jump. It was gamified more.
Sure.
That sounds weird to
Yeah.
say that for a Doom game, but 1 was like death
No, it makes
parkour.
sense.
It's a combo of killing, and that
Yeah.
worked. And the circle in number when you first played 2016, man, and you went around and you were just killing people, it felt. There's few games. In fact, I like it more than the classics. Weirdly enough, like I don't know if that's
Yeah.
a.
Doom
odd thing to
2016
say,
is
but-
my favorite Doom by far.
Yeah. Silver, what was it about Doom that you liked better than Eternal?
I think it was a lot of things that it felt like a lot more focused for one.
Yeah.
2016.
word.
I didn't like the hub ship for Eternal. I didn't think it really worked. I didn't really like the story elements, the cutscenes and stuff. They didn't really feel appropriate to me. And yeah, like you guys touched on a lot of the platforming elements and stuff like that. It felt like it struggled to have a proper identity, I guess, or
Right.
that was easy to like identify. Whereas the 2016 Doom definitely did not struggle in that front.
So good. Johnny, did you do the Doom games?
Yeah, I loved 16. I thought the Eternal was a bit too overwhelming for me to keep track of like all the places I had to be jumping to and the weaknesses of the different enemies and
Right.
stuff.
Yeah, and your cooldowns and switching
And
your
your
grenades
cooldowns,
and switching your
And the
flamethrower,
enemies
yeah.
were a bit more like beating them was locked behind specifically abusing their weakness.
Specific counters, yeah.
Specific counters. So it was a lot to keep track of. It was kind of like more mental than what I wanted, which was just like shoot some shit, pretty much.
I think for me, I also really liked overall both of them. I did like Eternal. It's just
Yeah,
that when you
I
compare
really
it to
like Eternal.
2016,
they're cool.
so
yeah.
like it was still one of the better games that year, but compared to 2016, it was just magical. SBZ Super Chat, $5. Can we talk about the Pokemon Go controversy? Niantic updated the player's avatar to less appealing player.
Who's
Updated
playing
the player's avatar to less appealing. Player protested
Damn.
and devs refused refund requests. What's that mean? You mean they made the character look less appealing? That would be weird.
Yeah, they made apparently their avatars look worse now, and players wanted to
Dude, this is what I
Yeah.
talked about. We covered this a bunch last week in the capture stuff. When it's mocap, it's one thing. When it's just going in and changing the art, it seems really
It's
weird.
weird.
Yeah. I don't
just
track
looked it up.
much Nintendo stuff, but go ahead.
No, I don't either. And this is the mobile game, right? Pokemon Go. So I know nothing about that. But I just looked it up earlier, and I saw they changed the way the avatars look, and people don't like how they look. They say they look a lot worse. And then also they removed some customization options. So, you had created your avatar, but now it's kind of like
A preset thing.
removed some of those or reset some of those things. And they were, refusing refunds or something. So,
Damn.
Yeah, this
It
says
didn't- yeah.
oh, I'm sorry. Go for it.
No, it didn't seem that big of a change to me. But again, I'm outside of this community. So,
Yeah. I'm seeing people saying that people's avatars look much more childish and rounded, and the options for the faces are terrible too.
Japan.
Yeah, well, yeah, it might be. I mean, but I'm wondering why they changed them. Maybe they thought that customizations they're doing in the future fit better or fit more easily in whatever they were
Maybe.
doing. Yeah, I don't know. That's stupid, though. I mean, I hate that kind of stuff. Anytime anybody adjusts that kind of shit, it means, like, if you do cel-shaded Zelda, that's awesome. You've chosen that, whatever. But if you got a game out and then you go back and adjust it, there usually is a technical reason, like, oh, we've decided that future customizations will work better with these face templates. But it's pretty rare. I don't know of a game that's gone and back, even a Sims, which I play a ton of. I think The Sims hasn't even done that. Like gone back and changed stuff. I don't know, SBZ. That seems dumb. The players, the devs refused refund requests. I mean, that is just the way. I mean, devs can do that. That fucking sucks balls. What were you gonna say? Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I remember, I forgot what year it is, and I forgot if it was true or not. But I remember a couple games or a game getting like a update when like a console version was released, and they made the PC graphics a little bit worse to kind of match. What was that?
And it's they also made the other VR versions look worse to fit the Quest. It was there's particularly a shooter that did this, not Contractors, it's the other one, where they dumbed down the graphics to be the equal of the fucking shit Quest. And so people who had the powerful ones, their game looked worse. And they later were like, well, Quest is more popular and we want to use that as a base. And that pissed I mean, that is really a bad idea overall. But I think you're talking about...
There's another game like on PC.
Yeah, it's not the only one to have done this.
Fuck.
It's on the tip of my tongue. I absolutely know there's been this. It's been 3 or 4
Maybe
times.
Like
but
around
there was
2016, 2015. I don't know. Maybe it was that old.
Yeah, stupid, man. Stupid.
Yeah.
You need to figure your shit out, Old Boy says, the falling out with Mick sours Eternal for me. Falling out with Mick.
Yeah, Mick Gordon had a
Mick
falling
Gordon.
out with the Doom devs or something. I don't know.
Doesn't affect me whatsoever, but it does make me, hate that. But it's not going to affect my enjoyment of the game, I don't think. Especially if I've already enjoyed it, I would have to go backwards and remove. The only game that's ever done that is Mass Effect. And that's because they promised something and then went the other way. That's so... Oh, SBZ says, imagine if Fortnite did this with their faces. That would... I don't know if... I don't see companies wanting to do it. It seems almost like it was a... Yeah, I don't know. Refunds are particularly hard, especially I know Sony's hard on refunds. They're very difficult to get. Steam has 2 hours, but these people probably have... and it's a mobile game anyway. Do mobile games offer easy refunds? I thought Google Play is pretty easy, or am I wrong on that? Google...
No idea.
I just don't play those. I do not mess with
I don't even
Pokemon
know what the
Go
monetization is for Pokemon Go.
I just know it's so popular. That's the one that people are stopping cars in the middle of the road to go find a Pokemon, right?
Yeah,
And they
I
were
remember
causing
back in 2016, I went out. I just used it as a socializing thing. I went outside with my friends, and there's just a bunch of random people there in the university and catching shit,
catching special.
But I know people used
Pokemon.
it also to because it's literally hotspots for where, it's
they can spawn.
it can
or
be
whatever.
used badly. Yeah, it can. Yeah, you can.
Dylan says the character models look really bad now. Can I just say that I was looking at this side to side for the old avatars and the new ones. And if you thought the old ones looked good, I don't know what to say. They both look like absolute shit. Yeah. I just have to admit that, like, I mean, at some point the shit just calcified a little bit because it didn't look good day one, and it doesn't look good now. It went from bad to worse. It definitely is not something I would say looked amazing. Havoc Slayer says, has anyone heard of a game or played Skiar Ritual? They have a demo up. Pretty fun. No, have not heard of that. There's a lot of games, guys, man. It's going to be rough. It's going to be a busy year. And this isn't even a big blockbuster year.
This looks sick. What is that?
Now I can finally actually, when I was talking about a big game being announced, it was Kingdom Come. These guys guessed it, though, in chat a couple days before.
This looks cool.
Skiar Ritual? Skiar.
Yeah, it's like a zombie
Am I pronouncing that right?
But it looks very unique. There's swords and guns and shit, and like very steampunk guns. Dude,
Skiar Ritual has 4.7 million members in their subreddit. Or is he still talking about Pokemon? He must be talking about Pokemon. If this game has 4.7 friggin', what do you call it? Subreddit people. That's a. Oh, by the way, you can go to my subreddit, ACG Vids. We talk about games in there. If you don't want to join the Discord. Johnny, your setup looks sweet. This is William Nossman's telling you. Your setup looks sweet.
Hey, thank you.
It does. He's got two lightsabers. They're not, but they look like a little bit like lightsabers in the background over there. He's got his little chevron of his sound absorbers. Johnny's got it set up, man. Johnny's going on. He's even got the nice shirt.
My setup is better, all right? Come on now.
Yeah, well, you got the Lego there, so you're more fun background. Well, Silver's got toys. I've just got a fake background of a real background that I no longer own.
That
Gaming
Technic
Podcast.
looks cool though. Which set is that?
It's a Bugatti.
Yeah. Nice.
I want to start collecting these and like making them and stuff.
Yeah, they're great.
Dude, having an analog thing, we talked about it. Maybe it was after the podcast, but having an analog thing to move you away from the screen in front of your face is really nice. Even if you've got a show on, you're just doing something. If you've
got a screen still, but doing something.
Indio says Technic makes my fingers hurt. Yeah, there's a lot of pressing with the smaller devices. Sometimes you'll have the indent. Yeah, it's like a tooth being loose when you're a little kid. You're like, oh, fucker. If you're an adult and you have teeth loose, well, then that's meth. Let's see what else. Hope Guitar Hero games go back compat soon. Why is that? Is that just you hoping, or is there because there is a new one, right? Isn't there a new guitar game coming out? I believe there's a new. I believe there is a new.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Like I want Guitar Hero back.
People spend a lot of money. Did you do those, Silver? Did you ever rock out on a drum set or the guitar? Yeah. Yeah, I figured. I think a lot of my friends were either.
I mean, honestly, if I'd had like the means and the opportunity, I would have loved to. It wasn't really a lack of like interest, but I just wasn't really in the environment where that was played all that much.
How about this, dude? Because I know you like to sing. Some of those games have the mic. You'd like some karaoke?
I have actually done like SingStar and stuff a bunch over at Lemon Street.
SingStar, man. Yeah.
Oh, you even said it high because that's how people treat SingStar. You even said it in that high voice. You're like, oh, how cute.
SingStar.
How cute. You do SingStar. Yeah. Flip Cup, $10 super chat. Hope you all have a wonderful weekend. Thanks for the entertainment as always. You bet. Hope you continue to enjoy your Legion. I've been trying to get all these guys to hack their Legions to death and just see what monsters we can come up with. I now have buttons like these 3 and 4 USB, and you put those on the back of the Legion, and then you can switch profiles quick and stuff. It's awesome. My Legion looks like a fucking transformer now.
You should do shorts that are like life hacks for these.
I should, but dude, shorts just
search everything like those. You can turn into shorts because a lot of people do that. It's like 5 apps on Windows you might have missed.
Oh, dude, I watched those too.
Yeah, those are good.
There's one particular guy, he's sitting like this and his computer's right here, and he's like, here's 10 blah, 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 and then he zooms into the URL.
Or cool AI things.
I actually do watch that guy's shorts. There's a very particular person with a pretty crap setup, it's not great, who does these, that's just like, his plastic shutters in the background, his little computer there. They're very good shorts. Let's see, what else do we got? Why not just learn how to play guitar? Yeah, so absolutely not the same thing as anybody who plays guitar can tell you. Not the same thing. There is
They had a good
level.
good crack at that with Rocksmith.
Rocksmith, yeah. I own Rocksmith.
You know, I have a friend that full on learned how to play guitar with that only, so that's great. But just don't fool yourself. I mean, the difference between having 4 buttons on the Guitar Hero
nothing.
and playing guitar, just even
touching the strings, it's quite different from a button.
Touching the strings, you have all the frets. You have to fret. You have 6 strings, which it's already more than the buttons you have. And then remember, just reading what's on screen in real time, and then trying to play that on a real guitar fret, like that will take a lot of time. Even in Rocksmith, and they do a good job, but it's
I would say
lot
like
harder.
drumming is way closer.
The
Like,
drumming is spot
Drumming
on.
is very close.
Other
Yes.
than like the hi-hat close hi-hat.
That's
Yeah,
a
there's a
real
couple.
kit.
It
That's-
is a
yeah,
real
it's a
kit.
real
Yeah,
kit.
the drumming one we got, and somebody who drums
for sure.
was their ability was even. I've had people who play guitar have issues at first with Guitar Hero because it's nothing
Yeah, of
like
course.
guitar. They're
Yeah,
trying to
yeah,
go
yeah.
down. And they're like, dude, there's nothing down here. What the fuck is
So they have
happening?
to
But with
remap.
drums, we had somebody
Yeah,
who knew
yeah.
drums, and that dude was mastering shit instantly. I mean, it's like when you watch Chad, what's his name on YouTube
Oh,
Shorts.
man.
That shit's
Yeah.
like.
Yeah.
And he's just, I'll do the song, and it's almost identical to how the song would be done. You're like, oh, okay, that's talent. But yeah, you see somebody on the drum kits. Those were fun, man. The drum kit, and they weren't
Yeah,
super
those
expensive. They were expensive, but
They
it was
were
a pretty
okay,
good
but
setup.
they were very plasticky.
Yeah.
So they're
Yeah.
cheap, but they worked really well.
Yeah,
And
those
that's
were
literally-
fun.
That's how I
But-
knew that that guy from Red Hot Chili Pepper, he did 30 Seconds to Mars, that
Yeah.
song,
Chad,
which was
yeah.
which was in Rock Band and Guitar Hero, and that's why I knew. I was like, whoa, this is exactly the same.
Yeah.
And I still remember it because of that.
And
yeah.
all I
Yeah.
remember is him listening. He goes, what is this? You know, he said that
3.
later when he's like, what is this? And they said it's 30. And he's like, oh, Chad's band. And he sort of switched into positive because he knows Chad.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
what was
yeah.
funny is it starts playing and he goes, it's on 3. That's all he said.
Yeah.
It's
That's
on
all I
3.
said.
And then
All
he's
he
just like,
needed.
It's like he got it.
and you're all, what the
Yeah.
shit is going on
Yeah.
right now? That is what's in his fills were. I like 30 Seconds to Mars fills, but there was some stuff that he did that I was like, dude,
Yeah, his grooves are really
it
good.
got me up in
yeah.
the heart where I was like, what the fuck, these talented bitches. And
Yeah,
you see
yeah.
even other people that write some stuff down. Not that dude. That dude's like he's got the
Yeah,
knowledge
others
in
wrote
his.
it down.
Yeah, there are some
first.
people, and by the way, that's still.
Nothing wrong. Yeah, of course.
No,
That's still crazy
but
talented.
to see
yeah.
him first just go, oh, it's on 3.
yeah.
What
It's
the
all like
fuck is happening?
internalized.
Oh,
all
dude,
muscle
it was
memory.
so great. I
and
love that
feel.
shit. I love
Yeah,
that
it's
shit. There's a couple people who do guitar ones where they'll do YouTube questions, Google questions. They'll be like, what's the difference between this and this? And you just see them rocking it out. And you're like, dude, that's amazing. Oh, Drumeo is great to learn. Yeah. Yeah, but I
It
got
also
to admit,
impresses me.
they're not the same. So if you're learning on, anybody, Rock Band is not the same as guitar. If you want to learn Rock Band, that's fine. But other than those 4 buttons and maybe timing, they're not the same thing. Like,
Yeah.
and guitar takes a lot longer. What were you
Yeah.
going to say, Abzi? Sorry.
I was just gonna say there's this guy on YouTube who also reacts to video game music. He's like a guitarist, and then he like reacts to the song, and then while it's playing, he riffs with it. He riffs on the guitar, and it sounds sick.
I mean, I understand that it's timing and it's math. I do understand that, but I have a friend who can do that. And all I want to do is beat him to death when he comes. I'm like, don't.
because of how talented.
Yeah, because like he'll be like, and his arpeggio, whatever he does, it just sounds like it fits, because he knows where something's probably going to end because he knows what keys it's in. He'll just be like, oh, well, I know where it's going to end on this beat, so I can play whatever in the middle. And I'm like, no, I don't understand what you're talking about. That would be like saying the first letter of a fucking sentence and the last letter of a sentence means you know the middle of the sentence. It's like that fucking makes no sense. But guitarists who know that shit, Johnny obviously as well, is just, yeah, there's nothing I've ever actually been mad about when it comes to talent other than that. Because piano I can figure out. Piano's actually, I personally think is easier because my fingers don't work well on weird chords. And I'll grab a thing and they'll be like, hit this chord. And I'll be like, the fuck you talking about? I need like, I've done that before. Been like,
I think
because
there's something nice too with piano.
I have a similar thing with violin.
Oh yeah.
Go ahead,
for it.
Johnny. Then you go, Silver. What were you saying real quick? Because I wanted to hear this.
I was
about
going to
piano.
say the keys, the notes are laid out very linearly.
Yes.
So
Right.
You can visually see it on the guitar. It's not linear. In fact, there's asymmetries on different strings, and even when you learn all that, you're actually kind of boxed into the physicality of playing the scales in the shape of the box.
Right.
People have to purposely get out of that mental box when they try to improvise and stuff, because you become so fixed on that.
Fixed on that one thing. And what were you saying about? Were you saying violin, Silver? Yeah.
Just
violin.
because of like the deformity of my wrist makes it kind of challenging for me to like hit the proper or notes on the string along the
I have no
neck.
problem with my wrist, and I can't hit them either. So we're good to go.
But also, dude,
there it is.
being able to play Through the Fire and the Flames on Guitar Hero, that's also talent.
It is talent of a
no,
different kind,
yeah.
but it's for
Of a
sure
different
talent.
kind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you see it if you see somebody who's really good at combos in MMA, and you see him pull a combo out. And I'm so unaccustomed usually to seeing any combo that are more than one or two. Usually in UFC in particular, the guys are so skilled that after one or two, they already know what's coming. They've watched the fighter for 6 months. But the fights that are fun to watch in the UFC is a replacement fighter. So that person has not trained for 6 months, and this person trained for somebody else. And occasionally, Cowboy Cerrone in particular pulled off one that was like 7 hits. And it was one of the most fantastic Street Fighter moments in the UFC I've ever seen in my life. I remember just going, finally, you see, it's rare, but you see this awesome thing that happens. But it is a different talent, man. Yeah, it's dramatically different when somebody is good at like Guitar Hero. It's awesome to watch, though, when you see those people who can play Guitar Hero not looking, but it is.
With the PC game where they got like crazy player created music. That
and the hard levels or whatever, and it's just. On the other hand, I find those songs less enjoyable than, let's say, a Led Zeppelin laid back one, because musically it doesn't appeal as much. But yeah, those are awesome, man. I forgot. Yeah, the chat. I got to watch those today, because I actually feel better as a person that a human who's a good person has talent. And so when I watch like those drum videos of Chad do that, and then there was another one who did Metallica. He said he had never heard it before, and I'm like, okay, listen, it would have been Muzak at some point in an elevator, right?
Yeah, for sure.
But he still nailed it, and I always feel like that good person, or what I think is a good person, that person's got talent, and it's musically inspiring me, and that kind of stuff is like, that's a good way to end your day. Ron Jenkins for keyboard is the other one, and he just came back and released something new. Yeah, it does.
You feel good.
Just like, and a good writer can do that. The first time I heard Aaron Sorkin's dialogue, because I'm a fan of faster back and forth dialogue, and the first time I heard his dialogue, my ears
pristine,
did this.
it's clean.
Oh, dude, I remember the first time hearing his dialogue going, what in the shit? That's so unlike everything else we hear. Now it's a little more, people are copying him.
David Milch and Deadwood, for me.
Yeah. Yep, you'll see a character in certain shows have a different way in which they deliver things, and there's a good.
Well, Deadwood is just kind of like profane poetry that's just not there anywhere else.
I would say
like, almost Shakespearean.
I know a lot of people like Quentin's dialogue, and I'm not usually.
I'm not a fan of Tarantino's.
There's been a couple though that had a back and forth I liked.
Like dialogue was significant in his movies, because it's all about the like dramatization, the faces, it depends on the movie. There was a couple in Pulp Fiction. The back and forth was more like trend and like arguing over burgers. It was like what you and a friend might do, so there's a familiarity there, but I've never really been absolutely attracted to that. Those are fun for sure.
The beginning of Reservoir Dogs. Like Reservoir Dogs, I thought had really good dialogue.
Yeah.
Fighting always felt a little too self-indulgent, I guess, for me.
What did?
Tarantino's.
Yeah. Let's see.
The square I was parked at.
What else do we have before we wrap it up? I didn't realize we were at 3 hours and 30 minutes. We've actually gone for a while. Do we have anything, any other pressing stuff? I want to say thanks. We got some new patrons, new people in the Discord. I appreciate you guys jumping into voice chat. We got to meet a bunch of people yesterday, which is pretty cool. And I think we're at 300, 400 YouTube members, which is pretty awesome.
Hey.
Johnny, what are you streaming tomorrow on your hit masterclass channel about streaming?
So I'm trying the community thing again tomorrow. I'm playing some League with viewers. So if you want to drop in, play with us.
I'll
have a
be a
chat,
viewer. I'll play some
listen
League
to
with you.
Yeah, we listen to some music, disregarding DMCA for one day, so we kind of go nuts on whatever music we want to listen to and have a chat.
I think that Johnny, because this is obviously a PG podcast, Johnny hasn't mentioned that he will be naked through the entire stream. So,
That's a-
PG podcast.
yeah, we're a big PG podcast, never cuss.
Yeah, dude.
Dude,
Yep.
I was telling Johnny 2 podcasts ago we got demonetized, and it was our most PG podcast we have had in ages. I think
See,
I
it
dropped
doesn't
the
matter, man.
F word one
Damn.
time in the middle. And I was like, why that one? I'm making like horrible porn jokes half the time. I'm dropping nothing. And then this random one, and I went back and I was like, what the hell, man? I think it
You
was
can
Johnny
get
and
lung
me.
cancer without smoking, you know?
Yeah, true, right? I don't know what that comparison means at all, but that is a perfect way to end the podcast with a comparison that fucking everybody will go, what? That's shower thoughts
Think
with
about it.
Absy.
Think
Deep
about-
shower
yes.
thoughts with Absy.
Deep.
That'll be it for us. Thank you to Silver for coming, Absy, Johnny, as always, to these guys for showing up, making it a great podcast. Thank to you guys for showing up. I appreciate every one of you guys who sits in for 3.5 hours. Yes, dog. I am done. He heard me say I'm done. Anyway, that'll be it for us. Thank you, everybody. Peace out. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. I hope we made it at least somewhat enjoyable. Or you can laugh at us.
Take care.
Much love, guys.
Bye-bye.
Thanks. That was awesome.